Bit harmony is a pleasure for all your senses. Yes, all of them. When you've heard over 4 hours of Matt and Seth talking about Super Monkey Ball music, you won't know where the borders of your sight, hearing, and smell begin or end. So lean back, close your eyes, light a candle, and start heating up that plump roast. The pleasure starts now.
You're listening to Bit Harmony, a video game music podcast, and I'm Matt.
I'm Seth.
I don't have... Is Trails in the Sky, is this like... Is there anything... You played it more recently than I have. Is there anything like memeable that we could have done here? What's the... Off the top of your head, give me a good joke. Make me laugh.
Dance, monkey, dance. I mean, I guess we could have maybe referred to ourselves as junior bracers or something.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, maybe we could have like adopted the last name Bright or something. I
love that the main character's dad is Cassius Bright. That is like the quintessential Japanese video game developers trying to make up a name in English that sounds cool and noble, and it absolutely is not.
Yeah, well, and also like there is such a recurring theme with just the NPC design, including Cassius Bright, of just like a mustache on these guys, and like. and a lot of times when it comes to the NPCs, it doesn't even like look right, like on their face. Like sometimes they'll just have a big old mustache, and like I don't know, like it looks like they're wearing a fake mustache or something. It looks so out of place.
I think even on Cassius, it is like his, he's supposed to be like middle age, I assume, at least like late 30s, but like his face looks too old for that, but at the same time too young, and then the mustache is just like plastered on there. It's very funny, especially because like I get the sense, we'll obviously talk about this, but there's like a lot of political themes in this game that come up, especially in the last chunk of the game, I think. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say the country is literally called Liberal, which is funny. And there's like, I don't know if you played this game with the English dub or the Japanese dub or whatever, but I played it with the English dub, and I felt like it was mostly pretty good. But Cassius, like his voice is just this very deep, clean, kind of fatherly voice, and the first time this game made me laugh like out loud, he's like, "Can you go to the general store and give me a copy of the Liberal News?"
Yeah.
And it got me.
This could probably be a whole conversation. We're not even through the intro yet, but I'm not like a hardline subs or dubs person. It just depends on the context.
Same.
And yeah, I played this in English because of, it's so like mid 2000s anime. I'm like, that was the peak of me watching like mediocre anime. So like, not that I think this game is mediocre or whatever. I love this game, but it has the vibe of something you'd catch on TV at 1 a.m. And so I want the English dub for that. But I agree. Yeah, exactly. I agree that like I think the voice cast was mostly very good. And even the people that I don't like, it's not them, it's just the direction I think that they were told to go in is my hunch. But yeah, anytime someone is like, and this is a thing with all RPGs, right? Anytime someone is over the age of like 28, they are like old in games like this.
Right.
And so like Sherazard sounds like she's like 50 to me, but she's meant to be like 27 or something. I'm like, this is weird. But then, yeah, with Cassius, I get the sense, again, I don't know if this is true. I feel like they're going for like in Atticus Finch like role with him, like that's what he's meant to be, but then he's just a dude with a mustache.
Yeah.
It's also hard to imagine that he's like the hero of this world. He's just a dude with a mustache.
He is held in such like reverent tone from like everybody you meet. Like everybody seems to know your dad, And like, not only is he like high up in the Bracers Guild or whatever, he also was high up in the military. Like he has lived like a full life. You know?
Yeah, and he looks kind of like a younger Mr. Rogers with a mustache, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know why I did this to myself. We got to get to the intro. We basically already did the podcast, or at least a section of it.
Wrap it up.
Hey, today we are talking about Trails in the Sky, first chapter. I promise we're getting there. But first, our intro this episode is Sophisticated Fight. This version is actually off of the Arrange album, Sora no Kisikai Zanmai. I don't know what Zanmai means, but it sounds really cool. Originally, this was composed by Wataru Ishibashi, and this version was arranged by Noriyuki Kamikura. So again, this is Sophisticated Fight, and we'll be right back. and that was Sophisticated Fight. I elected to not play the first chapter arrangement of this because we played that back in the best songs or best soundtracks of 2025 episode. But you can't talk about Trails in the Sky without talking about this battle theme, because this is just like the normal battle theme when you're in the turn-based combat. It is maybe my favorite turn-based battle music of all time. So like we had to have some version of it here.
Yeah, I was going back and forth in my head between, I think it's a toss-up for me between this and Final Fantasy X's battle music. Those are the two for me that are, but it is certainly up there. It's excellent. Also, just a quick aside for you, I did look up during the break what zanmai means, and it means being absorbed in, immersed in, or indulging in something to your heart's content.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful?
I wish I had known that before I wrote my haiku.
It comes from the Buddhist meditation term samadhi, which means total concentration. And I genuinely love that sentiment. I love that word. I love that sentiment. I'm like, oh, zanmai is kind of what this entire podcast is.
Yeah, you're right. And yeah, applying that to an album title of arranged JRPG music is incredible.
Yeah, that's really good. Anyway, it's a great song, a great arrangement. I have this note, like, this feels like if Estelle and Joshua were put into Smash, this is what the Smash Bros arrangement.
Don't do that to my heart. Don't plant that idea in my head.
I like if ever that were to happen, this would be the kind of thing we would hear, like taking this kind of, already pretty jazzy thing, but making it this like jazz rock fusion with these like big brassy horns and just like ripping ass electric guitar with like high tempo bass. It goes crazy. Yeah, this arrangement is amazing. Like, you already pop off so hard anytime you hear this song, but this arrangement really does elevate it to a Smash Bros arrangement level of hype.
Sakurai kind of is like pervy otaku adjacent already. Like,
1000%.
I remember him talking about Pyra and Mithra when he added them to Smash. So I'll
never forget.
So I don't think it's impossible, but yeah, I think probably Trails characters are pretty down the ladder in terms of Smash editions or whatever. That would be very cool, though. We don't have, as far as I'm aware, we don't have any staff using character in Smash. I would love that. That'd be fantastic.
That would be sick. Yeah, you got me racking my brain now. I don't think we do. Yeah.
I don't think so. Yeah, it would be super, super cool. You already covered definitely the broad strokes of how good this version is. Like, as much as I love the first chapter version, I think this is my favorite arrangement of the song I've ever heard. Just that bass guitar and the way it leads into the saxophone. It is like the shonen anime opening version of Sophisticated Fight. I really love the constant ups and downs the song has. It's so full of energy, but then there are these like brief, like less than half a second drops. I clocked it at 105 and again at 211, where like the song just kind of like stops for like, again, half a second. I get chills. It's such a roller coaster feeling with that, and it so totally fits like a battle theme.
Yeah, I have that same tag, that 105 tag, when it drops, and it's like for a second just the harmonizing sax. Like, dude. Like that's the good stuff. That's what we live for. That's the reason that we're alive today, is to hear stuff like that. Real good. It's also interesting, like, there's a moment, I have it tagged at 139, where you get a sax solo, which is crazy. It's immediately followed by a guitar solo, and I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, it's an interesting vibe in this arrangement, because the sax and the electric guitars are kind of like trading off the lead, and it almost feels like they're trying to outdo each other or something. It almost has like a bit of a duel or a sophisticated fight kind of energy, but maybe it also serves to underline like the dual protagonist kind of energy of the game. I don't know, but yeah, that is really interesting. This arrangement in particular really sells like these two leads kind of up against each other. It's really cool.
Yeah, and especially, again, we'll talk about this later in the episode, but yeah, Joshua is more like smart and reserved and cunning and tactical, and then Estelle just has a big stick and she's just going to hit people with it. And yeah, that kind of really fits the electric guitar versus saxophone vibe of the whole thing. Yeah, I like that read a lot. I was not expecting, I didn't do it much on this song specifically, but I did some like reading into some of the instrumentation in ways I was not expecting going into this episode.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, super cool. I did also want to clock, speaking of like instrumentation, that like at 2:37 the song just decides it's going to sound like Sonic Adventure for a little bit with like the beachy electric guitar stuff. And then it's almost like our Dench Attack episode never ended. But yeah, it's funny because it really doesn't match the vibes of the rest of the song or like anything in the rest of the game. They just wanted to show you this and see how you feel about it. Like, do you like this 15 seconds of beachy Sonic Adventure?
I'm trying to see something real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, man. I'm glad that you found this arrangement of it, because I was already real pleased with the original.
Yeah, the original, like I said, it's fantastic. We broke for it early in the year, and when I was like reviewing this game first chapter and like looking up the soundtrack and stuff, that's how I found this. Like it came up in my YouTube recommendeds. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
this one is going not just into my personal playlist, but in like we're gonna play this in the future on Bit Harmony, like mental space. That's where I'm shelving it for now, and I'm glad we finally made it.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff. And yeah, just one of the great RPG battle tunes ever.
Let's get into some general housekeeping, and we actually have like news and stuff to talk about, at least a little bit this time.
Yeah, a little, in a rare turn of events, we do have some news after months of hinting about it in various places and waiting for the moons to kind of align. We have finally rebranded, not Bit Harmony itself, of course. Nothing is going to change about that. But for those who don't know, since the beginning of this show, Bit Harmony has been under the umbrella of kind of a larger podcast network called All In Media that I started with my friend Eric back in 2020. And for a long time, Eric has since left. He left about 2 years ago. And for a long time, I've been kind of angling to rebrand the podcast network to something else for a bunch of different reasons. One of them being that All In Media was real bad for search engine optimization. Like,
yes, it was.
I heard it from a lot of people that like, hey, like if we Google All In Media, like we literally cannot find your thing. We did an old podcast that was also called All In, and like you just couldn't find that podcast. It really like stunted the growth of basically everything that we that we do. So I was like, let's rebrand this thing, and we were thinking of like something that felt, you know, appropriate for the kind of like dumb but also in-depth content that we like to make, like this show. And anyway, TLDR, we have rebranded the media network, the podcast network or whatever, to UFO Soup. That is now the new thing. Our new website is ufosoup.com, and the Patreon has been rebranded, the Discord has been rebranded and everything. And we have like a whole new merch offering that you can see at the website. We even have a way, if you listen to the show and you've ever wanted to support us financially, but you don't feel like getting involved with Patreon or whatever, you can also make a direct donation on the website if you'd like to. Another thing that you could do, and this is something new that I shamelessly took from Into the Aether, they do on their shows tidings from the Aether. And I always just thought it was a really good and fun idea. Basically, just the ability to like have listeners pay for like shout outs, like personal shout outs and messages to play on your show. And so we have integrated that as well. We have options on the website for both personal shoutouts and commercial on-air advertisements. If you are somebody who works for a company that wants to buy ad space on the show, we have options for that as well. And what I didn't expect is that we would get a shout out kind of purchased immediately, basically. Like, I think the same day the rebrand happened and the site went live, we had somebody purchase a shout out. So should we do that?
Yeah. I think so. I just want to clarify that in the future we might put these in different spots. We have ideas of like putting them like with like after or before like song breaks or whatever, but because it's contextually relevant, we are putting our very first shout out here in the housekeeping section.
Right. Yeah. So let's go ahead and do this this shout out here. This comes to us from Hopple from the community. So thank you to Hopple for purchasing this shout out. So when you purchase a shout out, you're given like a Google form basically to fill out. This shout out goes out to our wives. And it's not like a, like word to your wives kind of thing. It's Hopple says, shout out to your wives supporting your creative work. So thank you, Hopple, for that shout out. And yeah, shout out to our wives who are very, very supportive of the things that we do. So a worthy shout out.
Yeah, big ol' shout outs to my wife who has been on this podcast like 3 or 4 times now. I will have to shout out the shout out because she resolutely will not listen to any podcast. So I will convey the message to her, Hopple.
There you go. Yeah, I will also do the same for similar reasons. My wife will definitely never listen to this.
Well, what's funny is, again, my wife's been a co-host on here. She loves video game music and talking about video games and video game music, but she has no interest in actually listening to podcasts ever. I had to force her once. I could tell she was just not having a good time. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, Hopple. If you want to do that, if you would like to purchase a personal on-air message or shout out to somebody, yeah, check out the website, ufosoup.com. You can do it over there. And it's a pretty streamlined process. So yeah, thanks, Hopple. We appreciate it. Go check out the website and get one yourself if you'd like.
Thank you so much, Hopple. And just to be clear, also, they don't always have to be shout outs at our wives. It can be at anything. Or
right. It could be for anything or anybody.
So I don't think we have any reviews or comments to mention here, but we usually have a brief postmortem on the previous episode. In this case, Dench Attack. I don't have anything real specific to say other than, sometimes when we get in and record an episode, or even before we get in and record, I can tell it's going to be like one of these episodes, it's going to be kind of elevated. And yeah, Dench Attack is, I think, my favorite episode of our own show that we've done in a while, at least since Luminous Arise. I think that was the last time I was like really, really, really feeling it on that level. So I am just very pleased with that. And I like the way has been stuck in my head for like 3 weeks now. Oh,
yeah. It's been nice to hear. I've heard really positive feedback on that episode from multiple people. Like, I think Shy Guy posted in the Discord that he had listened to it and stuff, and really, just really good positive feedback on Dench Attack, even from people who it sounds like normally are kind of not attracted to game-specific episodes for games that they haven't played because they're afraid of like spoilers and stuff. We do try to avoid specific spoilers, and if we do get into spoilers, we try to warn appropriately and stuff like that. We're not gonna like jump scare y'all with spoilers. Right. But so it was nice though to hear a lot of people. I think Phelan even said the same thing. Like I jumped into this one and was immediately so drawn in by the music of it. And it was cool. Like, it was cool to get to, share the excitement about a game that is brand new and a soundtrack that is so exciting. And it was cool to hear that resonate with people. I even think that, shout out to Sean Capri. He ended up downloading Dench Attack and started playing it, I think, because of that episode. So yeah, pretty cool. It's always nice when we can do that. And I think the energy is just felt in an episode like that.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt that it is definitely the best soundtrack of the year so far. Like, not
1,000%.
Not even a question. Yeah. speaking of Sean Capri, and speaking of apparently fan favorite segments, this has been brought up multiple times that everyone just loves the Sean Capri Presents the State of the Nintendo Music Address. In the past 2 weeks, we have had a whole lot of stuff added to Nintendo Music. Let's go down this list real quick. We had the special release of 9 tracks from Splatoon Raiders. We had the Donkey Kong Country, WarioWare, Yoshi's Island, Luigi's Mansion, and Flipnote Studio free roam tracks from Mario Kart World. We had 5 Virtual Boy game soundtracks added. I will read those all off in a little bit. We had the Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, Mario Kart Tour, and Mario Kart 7 free roam tracks from Mario Kart World. And then just yesterday, right after the Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave Direct, we had another special release of 10 tracks from Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Let's start at the top then with the 9 tracks from Splatoon Raiders. You know, I'll go out on a limb and say that this is the weakest of these editions. Just because Splatoon Raiders does not really have that listenable of a soundtrack overall, which is not that big of a deal overall, and I think it fits the game for what it is and whatever, and we can talk about the game too. You and I have been playing a lot of it together even, but in terms of like special releases to like hype me up, this has been like kind of the worst one of those ever. Not that like what's here is bad. I really like Happy Hideout version 2 and stuff. Like there are a couple good things here, but it doesn't have the same kind of I can listen to this-ness of like a normal Splatoon game.
Yeah, I wonder what people who are not familiar with Splatoon think of this drop, because like for complete context with Splatoon Raiders, like the plot of that game is you're a mechanic on this sort of like pirate hideout ship with Shiverfry and Big Man Deep Cut from Splatoon 3, and you guys are drawn to the Spiralite Islands, which are these islands that are inhabited by salmonids, which you'll be familiar with if you've ever done Salmon Run in the Splatoon games. The salmonids kind of have cultivated and made civilization on these islands because they're drawn to this salt that makes them more powerful and stuff. And so essentially you're like invading their home turf and like doing like fracking essentially in their home turf, which doesn't feel good. And the game acknowledges that at several points actually in a way that I was actually a little surprised by. It isn't just like, oh, isn't this awesome that we're doing this and getting all this money? The game actually does kind of acknowledge that it feels kind of bad to be doing this. And anyway, the music that is largely in the game is the salmonid music. And in the lore of Splatoon, you know, salmonid music is in like very strange time signatures, and it's played with these like kind of screeching off-tune cello and timpani and stuff like this. And the reason for that is because their biology like resonates with those with that music and makes them more powerful, but to our ears it doesn't sound pleasant. So it's like thematically it makes perfect sense, and it's even really cool in context and in the theme of the game, but if we're looking at it objectively as pieces of music, like I'm not going to be riding down the street listening to Splatoon Raiders music for the most part. But with that being said, like it also does create this sense of tension and drama. Like it sounds like horror movie music effectively, you know?
I mean, yeah, you are just fighting these bug-eyed, awful salmon that are just trying their hardest to murder you. So it does fit. Like, yeah, Salmon Run in Splatoon 2 and 3 has like similar sounding stuff, and it really works there. And again, this isn't a complaint of the soundtrack, but it is just kind of a weird Nintendo music drop in this case, because when you're playing Splatoon Raiders, which if you're not aware is like straight up a Splatoon take on looter shooters, like it really is a way more fast-paced and arcadey like Destiny or Borderlands kind of thing. but with Splatoon gameplay mechanics. I don't want the music in the forefront. I don't want like the squid like vocals. You know, I kind of like the droningness of this because I want it to fall into the background while like we're talking on game chat and whatever, right? Like I don't want to hear the music or focus on it too much. So it makes perfect sense in the game. I just think releasing it as a special release it's interesting, but again, I realize that Nintendo they've started using Nintendo Music to as part of their marketing process, like part of their marketing
their
tool
thing
belt.
now.
Yeah. I think basically every first party release has had like a special release on Nintendo Music this year, it seems like. So I understand it, but yeah, it's just in terms of a Nintendo Music drop, it's not super listenable. Let's skip over Mario Kart World stuff for now. We'll talk about the 5 Virtual Boy game soundtracks that they added. These games were Virtual Boy Wario Land, which was composed by Kazumi Totaka, Mario Clash, which was composed by Ryoji Yoshitomi, Galactic Pinball, which was composed by Kenji Yamamoto and Masaru Tajima, Tellero Boxer, which was composed by Katsuya Yamano, and Mario's Tennis, which was composed by Hitoshi Fukushima and Morihiro Iwamoto. So they partially did this because there was also like an announcement that more Virtual Boy games are coming to the NSO Virtual Boy app, but all of these games are already on the app, so it was like a weird delayed thing of we're adding these soundtracks, even though these games have been on that app for a while. Ignoring all of that, I do appreciate that instead of adding these one by one, they added them in a batch like this. I genuinely really appreciate that. I don't have too much to say about most of this, I guess. Like, I didn't listen to every single song off of all 5 of these games, but I liked what I've heard. Wario Land, Virtual Boy Wario Land sounds a lot like contemporary Game Boy Wario Land music, which makes perfect sense. But nothing like super listenable there. I'll just say, and Phelan shouted this out in the Discord, but Galactic Pinball, this might be the best thing they added in this entire batch, to be honest. I kind of lost my mind at some of the Galactic Pinball music.
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned this on this show when the Virtual Boy thing came out. Because, you know, like I've been known to get annoyed at these special release things. But like for Virtual Boy, I was like, even playing it, like the highlight of playing through those Virtual Boy games and messing around with them a little bit was the music. Like, I was really impressed with a lot of the music I was hearing in a lot of the Virtual Boy games that are available on the service, and really cool. I am confused, like, why they didn't just drop all of it up to and including the new stuff that came out, which were 2 really cool, that like 2 previously unreleased games were like finished up and released on this Virtual Boy NSO thing, including is it Zero Racer or whatever, which is like an F-Zero game that they like finished and released, 30 years later or whatever. Really neat. Like that to me, like those things are kind of like the, if nothing else, probably the killer app for even the idea of the Virtual Boy NSO, to like finish up old games in a Star Fox 2 kind of way and put it on the service is super neat. So anyway, I don't know why, to your point earlier, like why not release those soundtracks at the same time to promote that is even a thing that they're doing with this? Because I don't even know how many people realize that those are like, finally being released as finished games. Like, that's a pretty big deal, I think. And if you're going to use this as promotion, why not promote it when you're actually releasing the stuff?
Right.
Know?
Yeah, that's something that is so unique to Nintendo, the idea of if you are listening and aren't aware, Star Fox 2 was originally being developed for the Super Nintendo, and it was nearly done. In fact, I think it already basically was done. They just were sitting on it and then said, actually, Star Fox 64 is coming out in like a year, and we don't want this taking away from that, so we're just going to not release this. And then like 30 years later or 25, however long later, they released it on the Super Nintendo Classic or Mini, whatever it was called. Nintendo is in this very unique position where they've been around and making and publishing games for so long that they have canceled titles that they're just sitting on that they can then choose to release on you 3 decades later, which is a very exciting just like idea. I'm sure some people would tell me I'm like a Nintendo mark for that, but I don't know. I think that's super cool that someone at Nintendo in a position of power sees value in their nearly completed canceled games. You know, I think that's really, really damn cool. And that is such a fun idea to get people more interested in the Virtual Boy app, because again, you basically need to buy either the cardboard or the plastic shell Virtual Boy thing to actually use the Virtual Boy app.
Yeah.
I did play a couple levels of Virtual Boy Wario Land when it came out without the Virtual Boy attachment, and it sucked. I'm like, I'm just not going to do this. So it is cool that they're actually trying to give you value for your Virtual Boy headset thingy that you bought, right?
Right.
So I think that's really cool. But yeah, like you said, it is weird to, why not add these new things that you just added to NSO? Why don't you add those soundtracks here as well at the same time? You could have even lumped them in with these 5 games. I would have been fine with that.
Totally.
But it's a weird one, but I do just want to emphasize Galactic Pinball is a really good soundtrack.
Genuinely, the Virtual Boy stuff has been really good, and I do also like. I know that I was whining about, isn't it weird that they did it this way? But I do just want to like underline that this sort of release is, I think, so intrinsic to the value of Nintendo Music in general, the app. The idea that you can be introduced to this music that you otherwise would have never heard before and is actually pretty good is, I mean, that's kind of the reason this app exists to me. And I think it's really neat to have this stuff on there now.
I'm a lifelong Nintendo dork, and I host a video game music podcast, and I had never heard the Galactic Pinball soundtrack until a week ago. So pretty cool. It's pretty cool that it's on there. Let's talk about the Mario Kart stuff. Here is our ritual of reading off the Mario Kart World composers. Yes. Zanmai. Atsuko Asahi, Maasa Miyoshi, Takuhiro Honda, and Yutaro Takakuwa. I don't want to read off every... I'm not going to read off every single game that they took arrangements from again. That's way more annoying than the composer list, to be honest. This is a real weird one for me because I do think these are 2 of like the weaker Mario Kart World drops we've had, and yet Vancouver Velocity from Mario Kart Tour is in here, and that is like my 2nd or 3rd favorite Mario Kart World rearrangement, so like I can't complain that much. What this drop did for me was like really underline the fact that like, oh yeah, it is super cool that they have voices being carried on the waves from WarioWare or like the Mario drawing song, but wouldn't it have been cool if they like did a little bit more? Like there's literally only one Luigi's Mansion song, there's literally only one Donkey Kong Country song, like why can't we have Donkey Kong Country remixes that aren't just Jungle Japes again for the 30th time,
Right.
That kind of bummed me out, but then you get to the Mario Kart arrangements and it's like Nintendo goes crazy with the Mario Kart arrangements in Mario Kart World. Like those are where the real like sauce is to the Mario Kart World soundtrack, I feel like. And like I said, Vancouver Velocity is just, it is on another level.
Yeah, there's some real incredible stuff in there. And I will just say, and maybe this is going to sound petulant of me or something, but I am just sick of talking about Mario Kart World, to be honest. Like this release cadence of just like getting new Mario Kart World stuff every week. Don't get me wrong, great music. I'm glad it's here. I have a huge playlist that is just like my greatest hits of Mario Kart World music, and it's literally like 90 tracks long or something like that. Like it's incredible. I love it. I've been using it on my streams and stuff. It's great. Don't get me wrong, all of that is great. In the context of like this show and like how we present it, it's like, man, every week I just gotta have like new opinions on individual Mario Kart World drops. It's to the point where I'm like,
I guess you don't have to. You don't. You can just. We can just leave it at it's more Mario Kart World if you really want to. Because I'm fine with just shouting out Vancouver Velocity.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just like it's just too much. Like it's like too much content. That like space it out a little bit more. I think it would hit harder for me if they did that.
I'm with you. When they announced that, hey, we're adding the free roam tracks, I'm like, oh my god, yes. I didn't think this would happen so soon. But then, yeah, it started happening every week. And I do appreciate that they upped it to 2 new Nintendo Music drops a week at minimum because of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have much rather had like once a month, like, ooh,
right.
like, we got another batch of Mario Kart World free roam stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And now it's become like almost like a like I'm almost looking at my watch like, how much of these free roam tracks do we have left, you know?
I don't think there's actually that much though. I think I saw someone say they should be out of free roam tracks but in August. So there can't be
okay.
I mean, even when you look at like what games they're dropping now, they've kind of sort of gone a little bit chronologically. And so like we're at Mario Kart 7. There's not that
right.
There's only one more Mario Kart set of rearrangements to do. So again, I also predicted a couple episodes ago they'd be doing Mario Sunshine in August. And yeah, Mario Sunshine is coming to the GameCube NSO in like a week. So rejoice for all you idiots.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I like Mario Sunshine, but whenever people want to talk about reevaluating Mario Sunshine, I'm like, nope, you're in for a shock. You're not going to be reevaluating anything.
One of my co-hosts on the Nintendo Drive, Amanda, she's like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited! They're re-releasing Mario Sunshine. I loved it from my childhood. Blah blah blah."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Please stream it. I can't wait to see you realize that it's not very good." And she's like, "Well, yeah, growing up, I just watched my my brother play it, and I was like." That's the best way to consume Mario Sunshine is to watch it be played.
I will contend. I don't know why we're talking about Mario Sunshine so much right now, but I will contend that like 30% of Mario Sunshine is my favorite 3D Mario, and then it's like 40% is very just whatever, just pretty middling, and then the rest is like garbage, like just bad video game.
The vibes are incredible. Like the vibes are incredible. The music's really good. I would be pretty excited, about that piece of it, but not, but the game itself, no thank you. Especially if you're trying to 100% it. Hell, a nightmare, an absolute hell.
I 100%ed it for the first time ever in 3D All-Stars. I had to have like a spreadsheet up of where all the blue coins are across which episode. I'm like, why did I do this to myself? Why did I decide to do this?
It really sucks. Anyway, it doesn't suck. Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave, man. This was like the highlight of this batch for me. You guys have heard me, I'm hot or cold on the special release thing. Dude, I am so pumped for Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave, like as a video game, but also the soundtrack is like incredible already. Like just the stuff that we've heard already has been insane. I love the main theme of it. It's so good. I love the different character themes. They also picked like a good batch of songs to have in this special release, like 10 tracks, but like it's the stuff that you would want. It's the main character themes. It's like the main theme of the game. It's really good. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, I think the fact that they included the 4 character, the fake main characters of the game, apparently.
Exactly, yeah. They're not really the main. There's only one true main character.
Yeah, but like just hearing the different like music for them really serves to underline how different their personalities are. I haven't played the game myself. I don't know that much beyond what's in the direct, but like Dietrich's theme having like electric guitars versus like the other characters, like that's cool. Like I love that stuff. I love when if you're gonna use the special releases as marketing material, it's cool that you're like revealing things about the characters by uploading their theme songs. I think that is super neat.
Hell yes. Yeah, I love it. This is the way to do it for me. And I also just that main theme, like when the chants and stuff come in, it's like it reminds me, you know what it reminds me of? When they first revealed Skyrim and you heard that like that Dragonborn theme for the first time, and it's like so like, oh hell yeah, dude. Like you get so pumped up from hearing that. It reminds me of that. Like when it starts off that little like acoustic guitar kind of riffing and stuff, and then like it gets into these like big like bombastic drums, just arena drums, and then like the chanting comes in with that main theme. It's so good. I'm so excited to play that and to hear the rest of that soundtrack.
It's cool how like Colosseum themed even the soundtrack is, because of how important that Colosseum is, at least to the first half of the story or whatever. Yeah, I loved Fire Emblem Three Houses, and then like Engage just never. The moment they revealed the main character, I'm just like, I think I'm good. Like I don't really. This isn't really doing it for me. Like this again, I like anime stuff. This is ostensibly a Trails in the Sky episode. It should be. You'd hope it would be. But I like anime stuff. But there was just something about going directly from Three Houses, which is still obviously anime, but it feels like it had a different tone than a lot of Fire Emblems before it. Now maybe in practice, in the context of the game, it wasn't that different of a tone. But there's something about like the colors they used in Three Houses, and like. There was like a more down to earth. I don't want to say gritty because that makes it sound like I'm talking about like a 90s like comic book or something. Like, but there was something about Three Houses that I really, really liked in its presentation that engaged just completely throughout, and that Fortune's Weave is now like bringing back. I mean, it takes place in the same universe as Three Houses. There's a direct character connection and stuff. So. Yeah, I am definitely interested in Fortune's Weave in a way I never was with Engage, which is great. Like, yeah, I really love all of the character designs in this. Like, in a way that, like, I think Fire Emblem can often, like, fall way too far down into, the trope category in very, very bad ways. And even, like, the horny characters here, I'm like, I still like the design of them. Like, it feels... right, like it is obviously doing what it's meant to be doing, but it's not like Xenoblade 2 levels of grossness or whatever, right? It's also just very funny that we are talking so much about Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave when that is coming out the same day as the sequel to Trails in the Sky first chapter,
dude,
in just like a month at this point.
That is going to be brutal.
That's pretty bad, honestly. And that both games are so like anime and like trope heavy, and so it's very funny, the timing of this actually.
Yeah, it's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be tough. It's also hot off the heels, like a couple weeks after Elden Ring comes out, which we're both very excited for. It's we're gonna be in RPG hell for a little while.
I am. I'm planting my flag in the ground. I'm Trails in the Sky second chapter. Not even a question. I do think Fortune's Weave looks amazing. Don't get me wrong, but I'm planting my flag.
So I'm going to be prioritizing Fortune's Weave, but I think that I'm going to play them both concurrently. As foolish as that probably will be,
I don't think it's that bad of an idea. It sounds daunting, but I think it's doable. Yeah. I think you can pull it off.
I think so too. I also, well, yeah, maybe I'll just save this for when we actually talk about Trails.
Okay.
Anyway, when it comes to a grade, for this, I'm gonna give it a B+. And I also, maybe I'll say this kind of boldly, especially as we're getting to the end of the Mario Kart World free roam drops, hopefully. I think I'm just not even gonna factor these into my grading anymore, to be honest. Like, I think I'm just gonna like leave that as a separate thing, and like, because of course it's all good, it's almost like boring, it's not interesting. I feel like the bell curve of the grading system has been completely erased because of Mario Kart World. So I'm like, I'm just gonna kind of leave it where it is. So with all of that being said, I think I'm gonna do a B+. I think Fire Emblem is excellent so far. Really great use of the marketing of the special release drops. I think having Virtual Boy OSTs is like exactly what I want to see. And then, the Splatoon Raiders drop, not that exciting, kind of brought it down from the A's, but still good enough for me to do a B+, I think.
I think a B+ is just about perfect because I was genuinely delighted by the Virtual Boy stuff again, especially Galactic Pinball, in a way I didn't expect to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Fortune's Weave special release actually did its job in hyping me up.
Yes.
But then, yeah, the Splatoon Raiders stuff, it's just like, again, I have no issue with it existing or whatever. It just isn't like an exciting Nintendo music drop. So I think
right.
for the sake of trying to attain brevity when we've already long surpassed that point, we'll go with a B+ then.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's go on our next break of the episode. We're going to be playing Provincial City of Roland and Rock on the Road, both from Trails in the Sky First Chapter. The original composers of The Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky FC were Hayato Sonoda and Wataru Ishibashi, and these first chapter arrangements were by Hayato Sonoda, Shuntaro Koguchi, Takuhiro Unishuga, and Yukihiro Jindo. So again, that's Provincial City of Roland and Rock on the Road, and we'll be right back. And that was Provincial City of Roland and Rock on the Road from Trails in the Sky, first chapter. I am giving y'all a peek behind the curtain on that break. I got some blueberry iced tea. I just felt like the pastoral vibes are so strong in Trails. I just needed something besides, the 3-drink podcasting rule very much applies. And in this case, I just wanted something kind of like fruity like that.
Yeah. I also abide by the 3-drink podcasting rule. For those who don't know, every good podcaster does need to have 3 drinks in order to create a good podcast. So for me, the rotation, water and coffee are always kind of in the rotation for me. But I also have been drinking this from H-E-B, which is a supermarket chain here in Texas. They have this seasonal cucumber lime lemonade.
Oh,
like
that
cucumber
sounds amazing.
limeade. It's so good. I've been drinking it a lot. We have gone through like 3 gallons of this stuff already, and they only do it during the summer, and it is like the most refreshing. I love it. So anyway, I have some of that on the side too.
Yeah, I guess it's real hot here, and then with these 2 songs, it was just like I don't know. I just wanted something like comforting, something with like a little more than like water.
Yeah.
But today I do not want coffee. Today is like one of the few days where I'm like I do not want a coffee right now.
Sure.
But with Provincial City of Roland, this is the song that plays in like the first town of the game, basically your hometown. I positioned it here and even decided to break for it because I really wanted to emphasize, we had the sophisticated fight opening that might give you this wrong impression that Trails is like just balls to the wall, constant crazy music like that. And it's really, that couldn't be further from the truth. You fight a lot and you'll hear that battle theme a lot or whatever, but the bulk of the game's soundtrack, unlike something like Final Fantasy, which has so many battle themes, the bulk of the game soundtrack is more so the town and the area music and like the cutscene music and stuff. And all of the town music in this game is so pleasant. I almost wanted to break for like all of them, but there just wasn't enough space for that. But I really love this vibe. I super love the charming the first town in a JRPG, and it's really evoking like a bunch of greens and blues in my head. It is like the definitive JRPG hometown music.
Totally. Yeah, this is your classic cozy JRPG hometown vibe. It reminds me of Twilight Town from Kingdom Hearts 2. It kind of that has that kind of energy, just your classic like acoustic guitar, you got your twinkly kind of xylophone vibes, you've got melodica, which to me is like that is like melodica is like one of the few instruments that just immediately is nostalgic. Just like you hear that sound and it's immediate kind of like hometown nostalgia. You got some strings in there. Just calm, peaceful, cozy. My favorite part of this song, actually, though, is there are these bells that come in sometimes and like chime on the offbeat, and something about that really evokes like, I don't know, like time to go home, like sun falling on like a sleepy city kind of thing, like hitting a curfew or something like that. It reminds me of we growing up in Chicago, we had that classic like just make sure that you come home before the streetlights come on sort of thing. And that's kind of what it reminds me of. Like it gives me that kind of, I don't know, like sleepy, whimsy, the day is ending sort of energy to that. I don't know. Somehow that's captured with the bells in this song.
So I don't know how I want to approach this question. If I want to go full into spoilers, I mean, I'll say this right at the top. Like we are going to talk full on spoilers, but I think in the next section, like after the next break.
Sure.
But I want to say this right at the top for anyone listening that like if you are thinking you might want to play this game, I don't think what I'm about to ask Seth is that spoilery, because it is not really related to the main plot. And I think the charm of Trails in the Sky first chapter lies more so in the nuance and subtleties in the writing and like the NPCs of the world and stuff. I don't really think, for the most part, the main plot is really doing like almost anything that interesting. Not that it's bad by any stretch, but
not until the last like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
basically.
I'd go a little bit more than that. Like the last few hours, I think it starts to have some ideas of what it's wanting to say and get into or whatever. But I also clocked those bells, and they were very striking. They I forget which song it is. I have the note for it later, but another song we break for later has bells in it. But what I was thinking in this, and again, it's been a year since I played this for review, and you played this much more recently than me. Estelle's mom, again, slight spoiler. I don't think this is that big of a deal, but you've been warned. Estelle's mom dies in like a tower, right? But I can't remember if there was a bell up there. But that's what that was making me think of was
interesting.
But again, I could be wrong because I did not have 80 hours to replay this game in the past 2 weeks.
yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, there is what's really interesting about Estelle's mom in general is that, like, at least in first chapter, and we should also say that this was both yours and I's like first experience with this game and this story. This is a remake of a 20-plus-year-old PlayStation 2 game. So like, you and I were kind of experiencing this story and this series at large for the first time via this game. So I don't know if it is more of a prominent kind of story component in future entries. We'll find out. We're both going to be playing the second chapter very soon. But it was interesting to me that like Estelle's mom actually is pretty backseated in terms of like her backstory. She doesn't come up that much. And when she does, it does feel like a bit of a gut punch because you're so like wrapped up in the goings on of, I mean, largely the plot of the game is like trying to find out what's up with your dad, you know? And so the idea that like, yeah, Estelle's mom isn't in the picture anymore and is, dead or whatever, doesn't come up all that much. And so when it does, you're kind of like, oh, right. Yeah. Like that's also going on with this character. And yeah, I do seem to remember there's a conversation you have when you're going on to like one of the transport ships for the first time or something where your mom comes up and it's from somebody who like viewed her too as like a hero or somebody of importance. And they talk about the way that she died. And I think it was something to do with a bell tower. I think you see at least a little bit of like a flashback, not the moment it happened, but like, I think Estelle and her mom are in the tower when Estelle is young. And then but again, I don't remember if there's actually like a bell, like it's like a guard tower, but also you'd think there would be some kind of bell up there to like sound an alarm or whatever. So whether there's actually a bell there or not, that is what immediately came to mind was like thinking about a bell tower because of these bells and then Estelle's mom. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if that is kind of the case, it's cool to have that like lingering kind of ghost over the main hometown theme or that presence.
Right. And that you don't even find that out till like way further in the game than when you're in Roland. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
With Rock on the Road, again, very similar to Roland. Yeah, I really wanted to really emphasize, this pastoral, kind of like peaceful quality to the game. Because even though, there is a lot of like military themes going on and the end of the game is pretty dramatic and larger in scale. When you first are starting out, this is like literally the song that plays in like the first path. Like you even hear this before you get to Roland in the game. So much like Roland's the quintessential first town in an RPG, this is the quintessential like first path that you take in an RPG. And I really love this song. I didn't remember this is one of a couple songs I didn't even really remember until I re-listened to the soundtrack for this. It's really got that Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles like Celtic whimsy going on.
Dude, I have that same call out in my notes. Yes. Yep.
I don't know, like it is so I want to go on an adventure, but like a lighthearted adventure, not like a serious melodramatic adventure vibe to it. I really liked the emphasis on the percussion in it too. There's a lot of hand drums. There's even like sleigh bells and even like a steel drum for some reason around like 56 seconds in. And I was wondering, like, yeah, obviously a big emphasis on like percussion and drums. It usually is like to get you in like in motion, like a marching beat or whatever. But I even also was thinking about like, yeah, Estelle and Joshua are taking their first steps into this world in terms of becoming bracers or becoming junior bracers. And some of these instruments, like they almost feel kind of like clumsy the way they're doing it, like almost like brusque first steps out into the world. I really liked it. I really, really loved the song in a way I didn't expect to, because I didn't remember it that much.
This is the most, I know we have brought this up a few times, how like we don't consult, we make our notes completely separately and we don't know what each other's going to say until we record the episode. This is the most like scarily similar our notes have ever been in the history. I'm just going to read you verbatim what I have written down here. Mm-hmm. Love how pastoral and almost Celtic this sounds. Has that lifting movement that makes you feel like you're going on an adventure for the first time. Really sounds like something out of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. I love the accordion lead, the hand drums, and then even steel drums at 56 seconds. Wow. It's crazy how similar our notes were on this. I do love that point that you make, though, about the clumsy feeling of it. It does feel like that. It feels like, it feels kind of like, yeah, we're starting out on this together. We're kind of going to find our way, because they are sort of thrust into this adventure in a way. And yeah, they're both excited about it, but also they kind of know that they're going to have to figure it out as they go. And that tone is conveyed in this song for sure. I also, and this is maybe just the best place to mention this, I wanted to bring it up, and maybe this is just the best place. I love how like connected by roads everything is in this game. Like that sounds so dumb, but like the fact that you have to like just physically walk on a bunch of like roads and pathways to get everywhere is so cool and interesting to me. Like in something like Xenoblade, right? You're just kind of like dropped onto this big area. Like this feels like a very charted land. It's like very much like this road is going to lead you here in a way that I find cool and interesting. It feels more realistic to me of how a world like this would actually be developed. And it's like, yeah, man, like if you follow this road north, you're going to wind up here at this town or settlement or whatever. And I don't know. I feel like I haven't played an RPG that does that in a really long time.
They even account for like street lamps and like power generators and stuff, because a thing that like is not super emphasized in the story, they make note of it, but it's not really emphasized, is that we're only a few decades into this world having the equivalent of electricity.
Right.
So Roland is more I don't know, like in the boonies, kind of like it's not like a major city, and so like there's way less like magic in this place, like magic powered machinery and whatever. So yeah, I also take it as that like we're not far out of like, I don't know, like the Middle Ages for them, I guess. Now, granted, their society has advanced much faster than like. There is this very interesting mix, and I think this is part of the reason why people love the series, of fantasy and sci-fi. It's like right on the cusp of both, and a little bit of steampunk too, especially like when you get to Zeiss, which we'll talk about later. It makes the world feel, I'm with you that like when I was playing it, I was like, yeah, this feels more real to me than like, Xenoblade or Final Fantasy. Like it feels like these pathways are more considered and are meant to actually be walkable by people just having to travel between cities and stuff. And yeah, looking at it now, I don't know if I do think it's like realistic in that way, but it simulates realism. Like it gives the portrayal of realism in a way that other games in the genre can't. But yeah, that's a very bit harmony observation for you to point out, but I fully agree with it. Yeah.
I like the roads.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, well, it makes like something I really want to touch on when we get more into the game properly is like how important the feeling of just helping people is in this game, and like they live in this world that is kind of quietly oppressed by their own government, and in little and big ways. But one of them is that, you know, because the government isn't out there keeping these roads safe, the bracers kind of have to step in. And so something like a large monster blocking the road is a big deal for these people who can't navigate those roads safely anymore. And I don't know, like something about that, like it's to me so much more impactful than just, hey, there's a really powerful like gorilla that's in the hill over there that you should probably kill because whatever, there's like a bounty out on it. I don't know. Like it just gives it a little bit more texture and like a feeling of importance to the world around it. But yeah, that's very in the weeds. I was just kind of taken by that. Like I liked that everything was so connected in that way.
I think I'm not sure because, like you said, this is the first Trails game and so far only Trails game I've ever played. I did play a demo for one of the more recent ones. I couldn't tell you what the name was, but on Switch a few years ago. And in that one, you're playing as a detective in a city. And so I get the sense, and I could be wrong, but I get the sense that maybe part of the series' identity is like they give you more of a specific place in the world. Like you are playing as characters that are occupying and even have occupations that are meant to help people in ways that you often don't in RPGs. Like you're kind of like, I don't know, in Final Fantasy games, you're kind of just like a force that just like blows through the world and like leaves havoc in your wake, right? But like,
yeah,
Trails is really, really about helping people, and yet that is one of the most standout things of its vibe and theming to me is that aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah, in like micro ways as opposed to macro ways. Yeah.
Right. But then also macro ways at the end of the game, yeah.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. With that said, did you have anything else you wanted to say about either of these songs?
No, yeah, we should move on.
Yeah. Let's actually start talking properly an hour into this podcast about Trails in the Sky first chapter. Trails in the Sky first chapter was released September 19th, 2025 for PC, PS5, Switch, and Switch 2. This is a role-playing game by Falcom. This is, as we mentioned before, a remake of The Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky FC, which was the first game in the Trails sub-series. Again, we cannot get into this. I mean, logistically, we can't anyway, since Seth and I don't have much experience with Trails, but basically, Trails in the Sky, the original version was the 6th game in the Legend of Heroes games, and then, I don't know if it was due to popularity or what, but Trails then became its own sub-series that has now just become its own full thing entirely. There are 13, I think, mainline entries in the Trails games, not counting first chapter or spin-offs or whatever. And the narrative does have like a connective thread through all of them. Basically, there are clusters of games that are telling like story arcs set in this continent of Zemoria. So the 3 Trails in the Sky games make up the Liberal arc. And then from what I understand, the series actually has a planned ending point, and it's like coming up pretty soon. I think it's in like a game or two that they're actually ending the series.
Okay.
Which makes sense because the only thing I know about any Trails game besides first chapter is I did randomly have the ending for Trails Beyond the Horizon, the most recent new game in the series, spoiled for me. I won't spoil it here, but it is pretty crazy where they're going with it.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, all I know is what I've heard from, I've had, you know, friends of mine who are big Falcom heads that have been basically begging me to try Trails for years now, and hearing them talk about it, they do refer like people who are really into Trails they are like, oh yeah, like this is my favorite of the crossbell games, and and stuff like that. And so like you really, yeah, you can get in the weeds on this stuff.
Trails is just one of those games that like I've been aware of for a long time, or rather one of those series that I've been aware of for a long time, and then I just never felt like I had a good entry point into it. And that's why I jumped in at first chapters, because well, it's a remake, a modern remake of the first game in the series. That's the problem with long running things, especially that are connected like that. You see it with Marvel stuff and people's aversion to like trying to jump into Marvel stuff when they've missed just a couple of things of like, I don't know where a good jumping in point is. But that I think was a super smart idea on Falcom's part, is before we reach the end of the series, let's give people a jumping on point, because now I do want to play them all. I loved first chapter so much. I want to play them all. I don't know what their plans are beyond second chapter, because obviously they can't keep remaking a billion games.
Right,
especially putting off. Some people were mad about first and second chapter because they think it's taking development resources away from like finishing off the series. But I don't know. I think it's a good idea to try and get people interested now. It seems like a good idea to me, at least.
I think so too. And Falcom is probably, not to get on a huge tangent with this, but Falcom is probably the most efficient like publisher developer that is working out there today. Like I love the consistency of their output, and also the way in which they make these things, and the speed at which they make these things. Like they have it down, man. Like they know the right balance between something feeling like it is at a larger scale, not quite AAA or whatever, but it has the measure of a good, proper, full-length RPG, but they make cuts in the right places. They pull back in the right places. They keep their budgets tight. They keep their release cadences tight. You're not having to wait 12 years between entries, and it doesn't cost them $500 million to make them, and I really like that we are in this place where there are two major franchises between Trails and the Ys series. You're pretty much getting one of those like every year, more or less. And it's also interesting because Ys is like the exact opposite of this, where the Ys games basically aren't connected, other than the fact that you have your main character Adol, who always has like amnesia at the beginning of every game. so like you don't have to have played every single Ys game in sequence to kind of get a feel and know what's going on. Whereas with this, it's like, I have felt intimidated to jump in, and for people like you and I, it is a great jumping on point to get you invested in the larger series, to the point where they're even doing Switch 2 re-releases of a lot of the older, like around the same time second chapter comes out, Trails through Azure, I think, is getting a Switch 2 port, and one of the other ones. Like they're keeping these things fairly current, because I think they know that what they're doing is like sowing the seeds of future fans with these remakes.
Yeah, it's very, very smart. That's kind of what I mean, in that, like, if they had to delay the final game a couple years or whatever to get these out, even if that's true, I don't know if it is true. I think it's fine. I think it's smart. Like, I feel like, this is just me, maybe it's because of where I am in life and getting older and paying more attention to like the internet around me, but like I'd never really seen anyone talking about Trails games, and then in the last year, I feel like a lot of people played first chapter that never checked out the series before.
Right.
Isn't that equally valuable to just finishing off the series real quick? Like get me in now before it's over. I'd love to catch up if I could. I don't think I can, but I think there's real value in that. And I am, after first chapter, I even said at the time, like, I am a Trails guy now.
I'm in.
I am fully in. Second chapter has been one of my most anticipated games this entire year, and I'm really looking forward to it. So first chapter stars Estelle and her adoptive brother Joshua. We will talk about the Estelle and Joshua thing, but I think we'll wait till the next section to do that, or after the next break. Estelle and Joshua, they kind of both aspire to be like Estelle's father Cassius, who is, again, we talked about at the top of the show, this legendary bracer. Like even beyond legendary bracer, he is just like this legendary figure in the world. It feels like every single person knows him. And it's kind of funny that Estelle and Joshua are always like, what? You know our dad? Like, dude, everyone knows your dad, apparently.
Yeah, your dad like rules. Did you guys not realize like how big of a deal your dad was?
And yeah, we keep talking about bracers. We will finally try and classify what a bracer exactly is in this world. Yeah. I kind of liken them to this, like, they're like a privately run organization meant to help people. By that I mean they're almost like a combination of Neighborhood Watch and Private Detective, but anime. So everyone has like special fighting techniques and whatever going on, you know?
Yeah. They're like, yeah, a private like vigilante kind of group that operates on some sort of official capacity, but not with the government of the world. Very crucially, not with the government of the world. There is a clear delineation that is important to the way the bracers operate, where they're like, hey, we're not going to interfere with stuff happening with the government, and they're not going to interfere with us. So that there's almost like this understood arrangement of they're doing stuff again at the micro level to help the world at large and the people that live in it in a way that the government is like not willing to.
It is really interesting. I think is that in the second chapter of the game where they explicitly are like, yeah, you can't interfere in how governments are run or in any, like you can't assassinate this dude. Okay. You have to leave him alone, even though he's doing bad stuff. Like we can try and work around it. We can try and find a loophole to stop him, but you can't just go in there and just dismantle his fascist regime. Like, I really appreciate that in terms of, obviously that's not what I would like, but in terms of telling this story that they're trying to tell and kind of how they're positioning the bracers in this universe, I think it's really cool that there is this kind of guideline and rule set that they have to follow, that even Estelle and Joshua are like, hey, this kind of sucks. It kind of sucks that we can't just step in and do the right thing whenever we want.
Yeah, and it kind of, I mean, it gives you a place to go, you know, it gives you a place, because what winds up happening, without spoiling too much, what winds up happening is that you begin to, as you get involved more and more, and you kind of rise through the ranks of the bracers, you start to see more and more of a firsthand account of how kind of secretly fascist the government is in quiet ways. Like on the outside, on the surface, it kind of mostly looks like everything is cool until it isn't. And it's the way that fascism works in real life, where these things kind of normalize, you know, their fascist concepts for you, and you don't realize until you get deeper in that, oh no, this is not normal. You know, they make that sort of level of control feel normal to the people that live in it and are victims of it. And so it does take, you know, somebody like Estelle or Joshua to be on the outside looking in and kind of getting deeper in and becoming more involved and being like, wait, no, like this is like this is happening kind of right under everybody's nose. And yeah, like giving them that limitation, I think, is interesting for them as characters. But again, I can't wait to see how this gets further explored in the series and like where we kind of go from here, because it does seem like that is going to have to come to a head at some point where you do have to like step in, you know?
Right. Like Estelle and Joshua start off, I mean, again, they literally start off as junior bracers, and you're kind of doing like odd jobs for people around town, right? To become a senior bracer, you have to like prove your worth in every major city in Liberal, basically. Like you have to get the approval of every branch of the Bracer Guild. But with the way the game ends, it feels like Estelle and Joshua aren't like the plucky youths anymore. Like they had this huge journey, crazy life-changing things happen in more ways than one. And yeah, it feels like, again, I don't know, it feels like second chapter is really poised to just go, I don't know, right off the bat, just have a more serious and slightly darker tone to it, which I don't think they're going to lean all the way into that, because I think part of what I loved about first chapter is this pastoral naivete that it has going on, especially because of your point of view characters. But yeah, I'm curious to keep exploring this world with these familiar characters, but with their eyes opened to how things are being run. I think that sounds very enticing. I'd also love, again, I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'd love to see Estelle and Joshua have more, like, by the end of the game, they are senior bracers. I'd love to have them have, like, some kind of, like, more authority, and, like, they're the ones making decisions instead of being, like, told what to do the whole time, which I have to assume that's going to happen to a certain extent. But yeah, like I said, you start off as junior bracers, you're doing basically odd jobs, like you're fighting off like pests at a family farm and whatever for people that live near Roland. But then very quickly, Cassius, Estelle's dad, goes missing, and then Estelle and Joshua have to travel all over Liberal to try and track him down. I forget the exact details, but he also leaves you with a mysterious package. It has a black orbment in it, which we'll get to what that means in a little bit, but it has powers no one understands and sort of becomes this MacGuffin that the plot hinges on later in the game. And that's kind of the basic setup, is that you are these two teenagers that are trying to literally track down your father that's gone missing in this world that seems very idyllic and beautiful, but has this kind of nasty undertone that bubbles more and more to the surface the further you get in, is basically what's going on. The game is broken up into a prologue and 4 main chapters. Each chapter has its own like mini plot to kind of resolve and get through and characters to meet, as well as advancing the main overarching story. And each chapter also even has different party members per chapter. Estelle and Joshua are the only consistent ones throughout the whole game until you get to the final dungeon. I will very quickly note the playable characters in the game. So again, that's Estelle and Joshua, Sherazard, Olivier, Agate, Chloe, Tita, and Zin. I suppose this should be the moment, I guess, where I ask if you had any specific favorite party members in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I, first of all, really loved all of these characters for the most part. Olivier kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But
he's a fun setup. It's just like the minutia, what they have him do that kind of sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get deeper into that a little bit later, but like he's a fun character. He falls into that kind of like pretty boy, you know, archetype kind of thing, and you know, I like him on the surface, but then also, yeah, just his dialogue and the way he behaves is not acceptable. But anyway, I really like all of these characters for the most part. Yeah, I think that my favorites, I really, you know, Shara is kind of like, yeah, she's the senior bracer that kind of takes you under her wing, kind of initially and stuff. And you kind of like, you know her kind of going in, or at least Estelle does. Agate is this kind of like brash, you know, guy who used to, you know, work. He was kind of like an apprentice of your father's and stuff. And, you know, you get a little bit of hints of his backstory as to why he's kind of a hard ass, especially to Tita, who is this young girl who is like a genius engineer who like makes stuff with her grandfather that keep this like, you know, steampunk city going. And then, yeah, you have Chloe, who's one of my favorite. I think Chloe is probably pound for pound my favorite. Yeah, she kind of has this like buttoned up, you know, kind of like schoolgirl, very like kind of classy professional kind of vibe to her, but she's got some really interesting stuff under the surface, including, you know, she kind of like has this like fencing fighting style. And then you have Zin, who is from like a different land altogether, who is like he's basically like a traveling monk. He's basically Sabin. Like he basically is Sabin to the point where at multiple points characters even refer to him as a bear. And I'm like,
he's very big. He's a very, very large man. Yeah.
Very big man. Many people refer to him as a bear, and I'm like, that's just Sabin from Final Fantasy VI. He just is, you know, him. And so anyway, I think that to answer your question, my 2 favorites are probably a toss-up between Chloe and Zin, but I do really like all of them.
I don't think there's a weak character in there, again, aside from like Olivier. But again, I like his setup and what they're doing. It's just, mostly it's just that he just hits on Joshua a lot. And if it wasn't clear, Joshua and Estelle are like 15 or 16, something like
16.
that. Like,
yeah.
It, and also not just like flirty or whatever, but also it's like over the top, like propositioning. It's a lot, and it is definitely like a relic of the time of when this game originally came out, like the original one in 2004 or whatever. It is, I will say right now, we will talk more in depth about this later, but it is the hardest thing to like get over, the hardest hurdle to get over with this game for like me and Seth. And I think probably a lot of people nowadays, like I think we'll talk about the combat system, but it's amazing. It's one of the best. It is my favorite turn-based combat system of all time. You've heard the soundtrack. It's amazing. I love how the game looks. The story is very good. The writing is very good. It is there's a specific level of horniness that this game has that, again, it's not anywhere near the degree of something like Xenoblade 2, for instance. Like, it's much more reserved than that, but then you have these occasional instances of Olivier doing some stuff or saying some stuff. Really, nothing bad actually happened as far as I'm aware, but also Shara is not she's a little bit guilty of it too. Like, she also kind of hits on them, and it is a little gross, especially with her in like a position of authority over them. At least Olivier is like a stranger to them, but yeah, that is easily the weakest part of the game to me, and like why I feel like when I recommend this to people, I try and like give them a slight warning about some of that stuff. The nice thing though is that stuff is mostly gone after chapter 1, because you get introduced to different characters in each chapter. From what I remember, again, it's been nearly a year, most of the horniness goes away when Shara and Olivier are no longer around, which is appreciated. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Chloe and Zin are hands down my favorite. I will say I feel like Tita was my least favorite in terms of like a party member in battle, not character-wise, but party member.
Right.
In one of the trailers for second chapter, she's in it, and one of her skills or arts or whatever seems to be having like a giant orbital laser coming down from outer space, a satellite in outer space, sick. And like landing on an enemy. It's incredible. Also, the animation, it's almost like she's like hesitant to hit the button, and she's like, I'm going to hit the button, and then the laser comes down. Very, very good. Worth mentioning, the animations and stuff in this game are like so next good. Level. It is one of the only games I've ever played where I never got sick of like the battle animations for like any of the arts. It's really, really something. But I guess maybe we'll talk about that in when we talk about the combat. But to emphasize in terms of the story, it is mostly Estelle and Joshua going around this very pastoral and beautiful world and helping people and growing themselves as they work at becoming senior bracers. Seth kind of mentioned it earlier, but the way I kind of describe it is it's very you don't need a reason to help somebody coded, which I realize is a very weird sentence, but like it really is that simple to Estelle and Joshua, and I just feel like that's a very powerful message, especially today. I found in general the themes of this game, especially in the last chapter of it, felt like they resonated way more with me in 2025 than they would have if I'd played it in 2004, both because of my maturity levels, but also the state of the world and what's going on in it. It does actually have a lot to say about like leadership and misogyny and all this stuff. It's very, very interesting, but I think we'll probably save anything specific like that for after the next break. But
sure.
Was there anything I missed in like generalities here with the story that you wanted to add?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. Yeah, a lot of the more specific stuff we can save for the next proper break.
So yeah, we mentioned the battle system a second ago. We have to talk about it because I lost my mind when I played the demo for this at how cool this combat system is. So when you start off on the field, like before you're actually in a battle, you can actually do like real time, like almost button mashy combat. It's very simple. I think you only have like one button and maybe a dodge. But yeah, you can start fighting enemies on the field before entering into turn-based combat. The main point of that is that if you hit them enough to like break their stance, you can then go into the turn-based or tactics combat and then they're at a disadvantage. Like you immediately,
Yeah.
like they're stunned, and you have immediately like all your characters can move before the enemies move at all. And so again, the game isn't meant to be played with like only fighting enemies on the field. You can do that like if you're trying to farm like enemies beneath you, and it's quick and easy to do that. But generally speaking, you just want to stun enemies and then start combat. But you can also just start combat, turn-based combat, I mean, whenever you want. Conversely, if you mess up, like an enemy can stun you on the field and then force you into turn-based combat, and then you are stunned when you enter the battle. But yeah, just the sheer fact that the combat seamlessly goes from like real-time button mashy to turn-based at the hit of a button instantly is so... I don't know why. I never got sick of that. The entire 80 hours I played this game, I love it. Like, I think that's a more recent thing in the Trails games. I don't think they were doing that until the last, like, 4 entries or so. But I could never get enough of that. I think it is so neat that that's even a concept in this.
Yeah, it to me is like the ideal way of handling these things, like especially in the in the context of like the combat and the way it's set up. Like, you're out on the field, you see the monsters, like, you know, moving around, you know, kind of what you're up against or whatever, and everything that you're doing is setting yourself up for success in various ways, where you're trying to, as you said, like, you know, stagger them on the field so that you can then initiate turn-based combat with an advantage, with, you know, being able to kind of use one of your more powerful, like, link moves or art moves or whatever, chain attacks, things like this. And starting out that way at that level is a huge boon. And then also just the little systems that the game has in place that we can get more granular about if you want to, are all in there to the point where if you know what you're doing and you are strategic enough, it's not uncommon for you to be able to get into a battle and take out the enemies before they even get a chance to act. Like, literally, there are these kind of offshoot little caves in each of the regions that are just full of enemies. Like, just have, like, you know, whatever, 20 enemies in them. And I would go into one of those, and it was so satisfying to kind of, like, round them up and initiate this massive combat and just take out, like, most, if not all of them before they even had their chance in the turn order to do anything. Like, it feels so cool. It's so well done.
You feel powerful in this game's turn-based combat in a way that, like, I don't usually feel, because it's not like you are overpowering enemies most of the time. I mean, yeah, if you strategize, you can, but if you're just approaching this like a normal JRPG, you're probably not. Like, if you aren't smart about making your builds and coming up with ideas of what to do, you can play it that way, but you're not going to experience, like, the sheer variety of like what you can do with the build system and stuff in this. It's really cool that, again, if you're someone that's more new to RPGs or whatever, and you're just here for the story, that yeah, you don't have to engage with those systems, but the fact that they're there and that the game is still can be pretty challenging. I found. I also I heard that playing on like Nightmare, people are saying the hardest fight in the whole series is the first boss fight on Nightmare in this game because like the rats in the sewers or whatever, because you just don't have like a tool set to really lean into with that, which I find that so interesting that that's the hardest fight in the whole series.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, because the game does a good job of also, like, throughout the course of it, you're constantly getting new tools to make things like set up better and better for yourself, including like support actions with the characters that can trigger like randomly. Like, there might be a situation where you have, you know, Estelle and Joshua have a high enough support level by just playing together, where an enemy might go to attack Estelle and Joshua will like jump in front of it and you know, tank the hit or negate the damage, you know, altogether. Like, stuff like that. I think what is really ingenious about, you know, many of the cool mechanical things about the battle system is you really do feel that sense of growth, that sense of like getting more options and just getting more and more kind of like on top of it that all feels seamless. It never for me anyway, never felt overwhelming once I got the hang of it. Like, they, you know, obviously you're given a lot of information like any JRPG. You do have to like get used to it. But once I got in there, it felt like every new kind of layer that was introduced to me, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, this is sick. Like, every new thing that I got felt, you know, like a revelation.
Whenever I got like a new art for Estelle, like I think mostly by leveling, and like her arts are basically abilities in this, and just seeing the new animations and stuff, that alone was already exciting. But then the actual effects in combat, I was like, oh, damn. Because, yeah, in the turn-based combat, yes, it is turn-based, but also there's a tactical element to it, too, of, like, you can move your character before attacking every turn. And so there are moves that if you hit an enemy from the side or from behind, it does more damage. Or Estelle has a move where she, like, thrusts her staff forward, but the damage radius is like a cone that like goes outwards the further out it goes. That stuff alone made me love this battle system. And then you also have things like magic has to be charged up. If you have a build going, you can like shorten the time it takes to reduce charges, or there are certain things we can talk, like boons in battle that you can randomly get applied to you that like make it so you can cast instantly or whatever. But like if an enemy is charging up a big like fire spell, you can see the radius of where it's going to go and like who he's targeting. And then any character that moves before it's charged up can get out of the way of that move that they're about to do. This combination of like real time and turn-based and tactics combat is, I don't know, I've never played anything like it. And like this alone, like even if the story sucked, even if the game's was way more horny than it already is, I still wouldn't honestly care, because the combat is just that good. All the things you have to consider and all the options you have available to you, I would never get sick of. Just if you just funneled me a game every year that combat played exactly like this, I wouldn't care. I would play every single one of them.
It's excellent, and it, to be frank, like, and I'm a fan of the Xenoblade games. I like the Xenoblade games. The combat system in this feels like what I want the Xenoblade combat to be like. You know, like, because Xenoblade has a similar thing where it is kind of like got some real time turn based elements to it, but the way they handle it is the moves are on cooldowns, and positioning is still important, but like you're not using like you don't have like a turn order or anything like that. You're just waiting on stuff to cool down, moving to a different position and trying to like trigger chain effects. Essentially, that's how the Xenoblade combat works. To me, this is way more effective because like I like the amount of information I have. It's not based on timing really ever. It's just based on the way that you're planning and positioning yourself in that moment. Even to the point where you can look at the like the action bar and the turn order, and as you say, like you do have to kind of like charge up your magic. It takes a turn. Basically, you choose it, and then on the next turn you'll cast it. But you can see in the turn order that like, oh wait, like if I wait until my next turn to cast this, it actually can cast instantly if I wait on that. Or like this character will get some sort of HP bonus or some kind of bonus on this next turn. It allows you to kind of think a few steps ahead, and you're always in this kind of like planning mode. And I don't know, I really, really loved that. And it made situations that both altered that timeline and like made my enemies hesitate, or like made their speed go down or whatever, interrupted an attack or something, that all felt really significant. But the inverse is significant too. Like every little thing that you're doing can really like change the tide of what's happening in a major way. It is a magnificent battle system.
I love in any turn-based game where there's like ways to delay the enemy's turn, and then like you see like Final Fantasy X has that a lot, where you can like do delay attack and you can see the enemies, like their positioning on the turn order go down. It's like,
I love it.
Like
Yeah.
what is more insulting than I hit you and also you don't get to move for a while later than you normally would. Yeah, I guess that's a good point or a good time then to talk about the build system. Kind of the last thing I really want to talk about before the next break. The build system in this is very, very like open and free form in terms of like if you want to do cool stuff with it. Obviously, again, you can do very simple things with it, not think too hard about it. But if you want to get into the weeds, I think the first chapter is one of the best JRPGs ever for that too. I'd kind of liken it like to a way, way more interesting version of the materia system from Final Fantasy VII.
Totally.
Basically, you get these different elemental quartz. Again, they're basically spheres, and then you equip them to your orbment, and then say like you have a normal fire quartz, like that gives you points into like fire, and then you get to cast like some fire stuff. But then if you put a second fire orb in their quartz, then you get access to more fire stuff. This also has like passive effects on your stats too. So I keep saying fire because that upped your strength if you kept equipping fire stuff on there. And so my Estelle, I was just a big dumb bruiser with Estelle. Like she was by far and away my biggest damage dealer because I had almost nothing but fire stuff on her. Like she was fully in on fire and just hit like a truck. But then I remember doing one fight in the late game and the enemies kept delaying her turns and kept like binding her and stuff. And I couldn't do my big hits because like she was where like all the juice was on my team. Which was very, very funny. I genuinely appreciated that. But beyond that, like as you progress in the game, you get access to more, I don't know, specialized quartz kind of. So like you can get quartz that is multi-elemental basically. So it might put like 3 points into fire and like 1 point into earth or something like that. But then beyond that, you also have like weird stuff like time and space quartz that can change like how turn orders are handled or lower the cost of using magic and stuff like that. So I really, on Joshua, I think by default he has a lot of like time stuff, so he kind of became my delay dude. So like he was often delaying enemies and stuff like that. It's not that complicated. Again, like Seth is saying, obviously in any JRPG, even simple concepts can become complicated. I will say, we did a Final Fantasy X episode earlier in the year. Right after that happened, I was watching a streamer that my wife and I regularly watch. She was playing Final Fantasy X for the first time ever. She looked, and she's like, she does like Dark Souls like challenge runs and stuff. Like it's not like she's new to video games. She looked like she was going to cry at the tutorial for the sphere grid in Final Fantasy X, when all it is, all you have to do is just move down the sphere grid and then insert the spheres. Like, to be fair, that tutorial is very bloated and very confusing, but still, like, if you just read, it's going to be fine. Anyway, my point being with that, Trails in the Sky first chapter, it can at first seem like a little bit overwhelming, but I quickly got over that. It really was never a big hurdle for me. Like it's simple enough because of like the fact that it's using elements and it has a visualization element with the orbment where you're placing the quartz. I know me saying all these words so close together probably does make it sound confusing, but I promise in terms of like complicated JRPG build systems, this is like very accessible. You just have to take a little bit of time to realize, oh, I can do this, and this with it.
Yeah, and the game gives you so much information, like in terms of the way those things work together. Like whenever you go to change out or swap out, one of your quartz or whatever, like you'll see the way that it impacts your available spells or your stats or whatever. It's all right there. And then there are cool systems in place where you can collect this stuff in the overworld and kind of bring it back to like an orbment factory, and you can either make brand new quartz that you can use, or you can upgrade existing ones to different levels and stuff if you found something that you liked. And yeah, like to that point, like I had Joshua was kind of my big delay guy also, but I had one on him called like Poison Blade, I think. So he was also just doing like damage over time with a lot of his stuff too, in addition to kind of delaying their attacks, which I really liked. And yeah, I don't know, like that kind of stuff. It sounds overwhelming, and it will feel probably overwhelming when you get in there, but really, yeah, just take a second, to meet the game where it's at, and it'll be fine. People get way too stressed out about these things. It's a video game.
My thing is always people that get like real worked up about RPG systems like this is like, if you just play the game for a couple hours, you'll probably figure it out and just like think about what's happening instead of just doing it. But you can still do stuff, but just think about it while you're doing it. And what would you like to see happen that isn't happening, right? Like, that's how I always view it. But yeah, I think it's a very approachable battle system and build system that, again, like, I think to keep coming back to Xenoblade, I think all of those games have like the worst tutorializations I've ever seen in my life. And so if you can handle Xenoblade, you can definitely handle Trails in the Sky first chapter. But that's kind of all I have in terms of like the nitty gritty like gameplay stuff. Was there anything you had that you wanted to address before we do another break?
That's pretty much it. I guess I'll throw this out here before we go on a break. This game can be, even if you heard all of this and you're still intimidated, there are a lot of options for you. Not only are there difficulty levels, so you can just make the game objectively easier if you want to. They also, one thing that I used quite a bit, especially in the overworld travel, is you can just turn on like a high speed mode and just kind of like dart, around the open world, which will significantly, especially when you're doing like some backtracking and stuff, it will significantly reduce your playtime, which, I think is helpful for people. You also, if you are overwhelmed with like the orbments and the equipment, just like in Xenoblade, you can press like plus or something and have it auto equip if you want to. It won't be as good or efficient, but like it'll get you there. Like if you want to play this game, you can, I guess, is the TLDR.
I'll also note that I believe every platform has a demo for it, and it's the entire prologue, which that's like a good 10 hours.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it's a significant, it's the whole like setup of the game. It basically is just a whole chapter in and of itself, even though it's called a prologue. So, but yeah, I played the demo on PS5 a year ago. I'm hoping they do a demo for second chapter here pretty soon.
Me too. A lot of people are waiting on that. It's like, let me get in there and make some headway.
Hey, that would be great for your Fire Emblem conundrum. Then you wouldn't. Right. Yeah, that might help a lot with that. Anyway, let's go on our next break then. We're going to listen to Studio City of Zeiss and Tetracyclic Tower from Trails in the Sky first chapter, and we'll be right back. and that was Studio City of Zeiss and Tetracyclic Tower. Never had to say tetracyclic before. It's a very fun word. Also, I should know...
This was my introduction to that word, I think, was this.
Yeah. I'll note that this is like one of those like niche Japanese games where I've seen multiple different translations of a lot of these song titles. So if any of these are wrong, it's just because I got them from a source different than you or whatever. Anyway, just to get that out of the way. So for Zeiss, this is just a super fun song. We talked about it a little bit ago. There's this running theme in the game of this world that, again, only recently discovered their equivalent of electricity. And their technology is advancing at a really high rate. But you don't see it at the start of the game, like in Roland and whatever. But you do see it in Zeiss. And like there are airships. Like there is like an airship port even in Roland or whatever for easier travel. But Zeiss is like this, I don't think it actually is steampunk, but it has a steampunk like vibe to it, right? Like it kind of feels like the equivalent. Yeah, a lot of gears, a lot of like goofy scientists with explosions happening in their basement, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some cities are just way more advanced in this world than others, and Zeiss, at least in Liberal, is just the most advanced city here. And so I think that really plays into this song, right? Where it feels so different than the rest of the soundtrack with all of its like synth focus and whatnot, but that makes perfect sense for where this plays. And I love that kind of attention to detail.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of picked up on that too. And one of the things that is so like interesting about this song to me is like, there's that weird ass like repeating synth note in the background of this, which like, it does sound very like tech, like robotic almost, but to me it also kind of sounds like a cicada or something. It sounds like a robot cicada. Is what it sounds like. And it just kind of like, I don't know, makes me feel both kind of like natural feelings and kind of like futuristic tech feelings or something, which maybe kind of speaks to the vibe of like, yeah, like technology kind of suddenly changing this otherwise pretty natural and pastoral world. But yeah, I love the percussion. The percussion has a real almost like hip hop kind of movement to it, just like in the beat of it. And you've got those like weird backing vocals underneath the chorus. You know, it's so strange, but I love it.
Okay, here's my read on this. I told you I went off on some weird places.
I love it
with the notes for this episode specifically. It feels like, and you could tell me if this sounds crazy, it feels like whoever made this specific song or this arrangement of the song is trying, obviously they're a composer for video game music. They know what they're doing when it comes to music. It feels like they're trying to simulate someone who is like playing around on a Casio keyboard for the first time. Like it almost feels like, yeah, someone who is actually good at music is trying to pretend they're not. And like they're using all these like weird samples and stuff, but it actually, because they're actually good at making music, it comes together. Like, yeah, those like simulated male vocals that you mentioned before, and then like the horn hits in the back half of the song. There's even the goofy ass like Casio keyboard like clap samples in this.
Yeah.
It really just feels like someone having fun. So like the composer was just like, yeah, in this world where electricity is so new, maybe there even are like the equivalent of synthesizers here, and someone is new to using a synthesizer, and this is what they came up with. That's kind of how it feels like to me. That's how I read it as.
I could see that. Yeah, kind of like yeah, we have like technology now. Let's play around with it. Even
though we don't fully know what we're doing yet. We don't have like the established norms for this yet. Yeah.
That definitely comes through. And it's interesting too, because for as fun and kind of like up tempo as this is, it is probably the city in the game that maybe has the most sort of militant presence to it. You know, and that's kind of it's interesting, especially considering where the plot of that chapter goes and the things that it's setting up. Like, it is pretty interesting to have it juxtaposed to this kind of like fun, kind of vibe. Yeah, that's interesting.
From what I've seen online, this is also like the fan favorite song of this game, which makes perfect sense because it stands out so much from everything else. Like,
right.
I saw a lot of comments that were like, "Oh, I found the song." Even on the original game's soundtrack, I found a lot of, "Oh, this song, like this is the song I think of when I think of this game." So I think that aspect is also very neat.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't have expected that. I would have thought that like Ruan or that would have been like a standout fan favorite kind of thing.
And yeah, obviously there's no way for me to quantify what is the actual favorite. And yeah, Ruan is probably my favorite town theme. But yeah, from what I can see, people love Zeiss. People can't get enough of Zeiss. For Tetracyclic Tower, this is actually a U domain. I mean, I think once I re-listened to it, I also would have fully been on like, yeah, let's get this in here for sure. But it's a U domain. Tell me about it.
This, I think, is my favorite song in the game. Full stop. I know this song is good when this got my wife to ask me about it when she, like, a lot of times I would be playing this like early in the morning when she would be getting ready for work or something, and she would hear me playing it. And I remember I was in one of those towers and that song was playing and she was like, what's that? Like that. She is not usually the one to stop and comment on like video game music like that, but she was very intrigued by that song. I like this song. I just love it. I love the energy that it has. I think that those towers were so cool and weird in the game. Like, they feel so weirdly out of place, but like also this kind of like, just ancient thing that felt wholly unexplored and like waiting to be discovered, which I was very attracted to. And I feel like that comes through in the music. Like, the bass is so forward and distorted in this, and to me it sounds so cool when paired with the more traditional kind of like ancient sounding instrumentation, like having the flute lead and like some sitar and hand drums and marimba and stuff in there. It's just, there's some light like chanting in there. It really just kind of, it sells this like scary and mysterious, but also the thrill of discovery kind of vibes that this has. And like, I don't know, I'm very drawn to the movements of that song. It's the one that I keep thinking of when I think back to this game, in addition to the town themes and stuff. But aside from the town themes, I think this is like one of the songs in the game for me.
Like I said, I didn't remember this one off the top of my head, but yeah, listening to it outside of the game, I was like, wow, I didn't remember that this was this cool. Like, I remember liking it at the time, but not to this level. And yeah, a lot of it is that instrumentation you're talking about. To me, it was like this mix of different types of instrumentation. Like, it's got this, this dirty synth that kicks up around 25 seconds in, but then it eventually does get more traditional instruments going on. This is the other song I was thinking of that had the church bells going on again. And the flutes, and then it even gets like a little Middle Eastern flair going on. It feels like, to me, like the people in this world, most of the people don't know what these towers are even for. Right. And that's kind of what this song is giving me, is that it's just a whole mix of a bunch of different things, because no one really knows the origin of this thing. It could have come from anywhere. We don't know when they were built, blah, blah, blah. More than like any other soundtrack we've ever covered, I really felt like these songs were specifically telling stories about what's happening in the game.
Yeah.
We're a video game music podcast. Obviously, it's not like that's a foreign concept, but I just feel like this game really, really hammered that home when I re-listened to the soundtrack.
It's also interesting too, right? Because like the purpose of those towers is even kind of above Estelle and Joshua's pay grade. Like there's
like this, way above, honestly.
Yeah, because like even by the end, like you're gonna go down there and you're gonna fight a bunch of monsters and find loot and stuff, but when you get up to the top of them, you don't really know what the hell is going on, like what they're what they're for, even, really. And there's this professor character that kind of comes into play that is studying them, but other than that, like, I mean, really, you have no idea kind of what the significance of these things are, and maybe that comes up in the sequel in a bigger way, but like that is very interesting to me. I love the idea of like introducing this kind of thing, and I love the not knowing. Like, I don't need an answer to everything. Like, the discovery and the not knowing is kind of what I like about it. And yeah, I was so attracted to that.
It's a very, very interesting song. On our next break, we have another song that I totally didn't remember that I think is also amazing.
Yeah.
It is, what a soundtrack. Like, when we said we were doing this episode, I hadn't started re-listening to the soundtrack yet. And I was already excited, but then, yeah, when we were choosing songs, I was kind of losing my damn mind over a few of these. And yeah, this is one of them. So for this last section, or at least last Trails in the Sky section, I don't really have any notes here. I just figured we'd leave this open to any kind of discussion you'd want to go down, any road you'd want to go down. I don't know. Is there any story-specific things you want to start at? I guess I should note, yeah, if you are... We don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but if you're trying to avoid heavy spoilers, this is probably the place to bounce, like go to the timestamps and skip ahead, I would assume at this point. But yeah, I don't know. Is there any specific spot you wanted to start at, Seth?
Well, I mean, yeah, I know we want to talk about the weird stuff going on with Estelle and Joshua, but I do just quickly want to underline something that we kind of talked about earlier in a way that really impacted me, just to, I don't know, just to kind of like sell this point about the game even harder. Like, this really did scratch a sort of like Majora's Mask adjacent itch for me in this notion of like, yeah, being able to help and contribute to the world and the people around you in small but meaningful ways. Like, the things that really hit for me were like, yeah, like there's a mission where you have to protect a farm from some monsters, and like that farm is significant to, you know, the food and the production of that area of the world, and yet the government is not providing them protection. And then like there's another quest later on that was extraordinarily simple but really hit me. It was like, hey man, like, you know, this seaport town, it really, the lighthouse is very important to this town, and the guy that runs the lighthouse, like he works so hard, he's like always there. Can you just like bring him some food? And that to me, it's like, again, so simple, but like, I don't know, little acts of kindness like that, it really had me thinking about, like, it's not enough to just say that you're a good person and to just say that you're a kind person and a helpful person. Like, your actions have to match that. You have to like prove to be the person that you say you are, you know, and you have to like be a good and kind and helpful person, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it's inconvenient for you or whatever. And I don't know, man, like that really hit me playing this game, kind of that message of providing that little bit of help and hope in a hopeless time, and for these people that are being quietly oppressed in ways that they don't even realize. It's not like Majora's Mask where you have the impending like giant moon with an evil face on it that's about to like kill everybody, but these people are having to live under a fascist regime, whether they realize it or not. And I don't know, like I really, really resonated with that. Like, just small ways that you can help people, I think are so important. And genuinely, it has changed the way that I kind of move in my day-to-day life. You know, I always try to help people when I see it, but I don't often inconvenience myself to do it, you know? And genuinely, like, playing this game and thinking in this way, like, it has made me do that much more in my day-to-day life, like helping people even when it's going to take time out of my day, or when it's not convenient for me to help them. Like, that has manifested several times since playing this game and thinking about that stuff. So I don't know. I just wanted to underline how much that impacted me and touched me playing this.
Yeah, I think that is also at least a key component of like what, besides the battle system, at least thematically, like what separates this out so much for me. Because, like I said before, like yeah, when you're playing a Final Fantasy game, you might be doing the right thing, but it's often not like your intended goal. Like when you're playing as Cloud, he's kind of like an outright asshole, right? And like that's fun in its own way, right? Like I like the story of Final Fantasy VII. I love the characters and whatever, but it is very refreshing to play as just people, two people that like just want to help people. Like again, they are young and they're naive and they're challenging logic, if I may quote Garth Marenghi's Dark Plays. But
Yeah.
it really emphasizes like the youth, basically. The young people are the people that have the power to change the world because they haven't been fully beaten down and ground down by the systems at play yet. I think a lot about the end of the game, or not the end of the game, but when you're in the final era. I forget the name of like the royal capital, but
Yeah.
when you had to sneak in to meet the queen, like the whole game you're hearing about like that the queen, is it her nephew or I forget exactly, but
Yeah.
he's gonna be crowned king, and you meet him a few times throughout the game, and he's like a bumbling idiot, and his butler is always like, sorry, this dude sucks, but what can I say? Like I'm his servant or whatever. I've taken care of him since he was a baby. But this idiot's gonna be made king, and like everyone's trying to figure out like why is this happening, and like why now? And then of course Cassius is also missing at the same time. And so you have to sneak into the castle and talk to the queen herself to even figure out why she's abdicating the throne. Is that abdicating the throne? Is that the right term, or is that something more specific than what I'm talking about? She's giving up rule or whatever.
Right.
And she basically informs you. I mean, the hints were there already, but informs you that you're in the middle of a military coup, and that they are putting the doofus in charge because they can control him, and and he doesn't care because he's in charge. Estelle and Joshua are like asking her like well, why? Like why would you put someone like dumb in charge? And aside from the fact that they can control him, she's also explaining how the commander of like the intelligence agency or whatever his name is and whatever the name of that division is, that he is scared that Liberal is going to be seen as too weak because the queen wants to give up rule. She wants to have another queen after her, and that's actually Chloe, that you didn't know up to this point was actually the queen's granddaughter.
Yeah.
And she's saying that like the villain, the person that is performing the coup, he doesn't think it's good for them to have two queens in a row, that basically that would just be the end of Liberal because we would look too weak. And I found it very interesting because I mean, for one, that is a theme that and it's a topic that is being openly discussed in the game that I didn't think the game would go to.
Right.
So like up to that point, the game has been very like cheerful and whatever. Like it has some darker things going on, but it's really not until that final chapter where it starts really digging its heels in and saying like, no, we have things to say about like politics and the patriarchy specifically. And I mean, yeah, you are playing as Estelle. Like the main character is a female and not the traditional like male protagonist for something like this. But yeah, I find it very interesting that it feels like neither Estelle nor Joshua like really even considered that up to that point. All they can see is like, oh yeah, you're being forced out through a military coup. Well, we got to fix this. But it's just like, yeah, but do you not see how, I mean, obviously you have to fix this problem, but the systemic issues that allowed this to happen in the first place, like, can we, like, let's fix this real quick, but also then can we like zoom out and then try and like figure out how this was even allowed to happen in the first place? And again, I'm hopeful based on like what other people have said and implied that like the series as a whole does get into challenging of like the greater systems. But yeah, that's really the moment where to me Estelle and Joshua have to like fully grow up even though at that point Joshua has to pretend to be like a maid. He has to be dressed like
So good.
a teenage girl to sneak into the castle or whatever. But yeah, that's the moment I most think of when I think of the story in this game. But
yeah,
to your point, like all the little moments, like, yeah, I was fully in on the game when you did the quest where you had to protect the farm from like, yeah, the vermin or what, like rabbits or something. I don't remember,
Yeah.
mutant rabbits. Not just the fact that that's what you're doing and how they frame it, but also the fact that like, yeah, they modeled this whole like farmstead, and like they invite the characters that live there that run the farm. They invite Estelle and Joshua to like stay the night, and like, hey, yeah, if they attack in the night, then you're here to help. But also,
right.
they serve them food. You break bread with them. I don't know why I said break bread. I feel like I'm an 80-year-old man, but I just don't see any game doing this, like getting that down in the mud and saying like, no, you're gonna watch this cutscene where Estelle and Joshua are meeting people and being told what their problems are and why this is a problem and what you can do to help realistically and what you would like to do to help. It is very, very special to me. The fact that like, yeah, I mean, yeah, the two things I didn't even realize until right now, the two things I just described are like the last quest of the game and the first quest of the game. And so like you get to how you see them evolve as people with everything that happens in between is so I don't know, interesting, just well observed. I really think the writing of this game is something special, despite again all the horniness to the side of it.
Yeah. I mean, should we then just get into that?
Yeah, okay. It's actually amazing we didn't actually say anything about this until right now. So we've mentioned before Estelle and Joshua, they are raised as siblings. Estelle is Cassius's daughter, and then Cassius, while he was out on a mission, found Joshua and brought him home because he was, I don't remember the exact details, but he looked like he was injured maybe.
He was injured, yeah. He had amnesia, doesn't remember who he is and stuff, and yeah, he kind of brings him in a bundle, kind of hurt, and yeah.
Yeah, so Estelle wakes up at night and yeah, her dad has brought Joshua home and he's very like shy and whatever. And so they're raised as siblings from that point on. But then as the story goes on, Estelle realizes that she has romantic feelings for Joshua, even though, again, to the credit of the writing, she does go out of her way, like throughout the entire game, to be like, no, like he's my brother. This isn't what's happening. And then, I mean, I guess we can say this too. At the end of the game, Joshua does confess that he also has feelings, but then kisses her, but then like he had like drugs on his, was it on his, in his mouth?
Yeah.
And to knock her out so he could escape. And again, to be fair, he's not drugging her for nefarious purposes. To him, it's the right thing to do. He's leaving because he's running away and doesn't want her following him because of like revelations that happen in the story or whatever. So there's all kinds of, if you don't see it by that description, there's all kinds of problematic things going on here. And I think, me personally, I think the brother and sister thing is like a little overstated. I'm not denying that there's like a bit of ickiness to it, if I may. But again, you found out, I didn't remember the exact timeline, but yeah, they're raised together for like 5 years, so from like 11 to 16 or whatever.
Right.
So it's not like it was from when they were like a real young age. I have to assume there is like a societal thing that is more prevalent in Japan than in the West, where this is just more of I don't know, like an openly talked about thing. Because again, I'm gonna say the word incest a couple times here, okay? Obviously, this isn't incest, but like, what popular media in America ever addresses anything even remotely like this, especially in a non-humorous way? The only thing I can think of is Arrested Development, with George Michael having a crush on Maybe, his cousin. I talked about this with my wife while I was playing Trails in the Sky. She was watching me. She wasn't that interested, but I was explaining what was going on and whatever. And I was explaining my feelings at the time as I was in the middle of the playthrough of like, yeah, I really love this game, but I think they're trying to make it so Estelle and Joshua, who were raised as siblings, are going to end up together. And how that was making me feel. Again, the ickiness factor. and she had a really like thoughtful response about it, which is like, this does happen in real life though. She even watched a documentary where it was from Japan actually, where a brother and a sister, one of them fell in love with the other, but they weren't raised together either. They were biologically brother and sister, but they weren't raised together. And then they just left. Like they decided to never, like, I'm going to leave and we're not going to ever talk to each other again because of the feelings involved. Like the truth of the matter is, weird feelings can happen between people no matter what. I think that is worth exploring from a story standpoint, especially in this context where it's not like overtly, there isn't any kind of like biological bad thing going on. But yeah, to a Western mind, I do think this kind of thing is more foreign. And I find that interesting. And yeah, as I've gotten more time away from it, this doesn't bother me as much, even though, yes, I fully agree with you that, like, yeah, it'd still be a better story, I think, if this just wasn't a factor in it. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole, like, why'd you have to make it weird, is kind of where I come down on it. I agree. Like, I do think it's interesting to explore that kind of thing. I just don't know why, like, it was necessary here with these characters. Like, it just felt to me, there, and there's always this kind of like, this square that you have to circle when you engage with this kind of stuff, this like anime trope of fan service and stuff, and the kind of borderline fetishy stuff that happens inside of things like anime and certain Japanese video games. And like, I can accept some of that when it makes some sense in the story. The new Ghost in the Shell series that just started on Amazon Prime has some pretty like risque stuff in it that feels pretty fan servicey, but they at least contextualize it in the world. And to your point, the more time has gone on, the more okay with it I feel, because I do think that the game is well written enough to like kind of, I don't know, like justify those feelings within Estelle and the way that she deals with them. I think at least makes some sense. Like it at least feels true to what they're trying to say there. I'm good with that. And it did, admittedly, when I started the game, I read Estelle and Joshua when they met as being much younger than they apparently were. Like, I didn't realize until they say it later that they had only been together for like 5 years. Like, I thought that they were, 10 years or something. Like, they were raised from like very young together. And admittedly, hearing that it was only 5 years did kind of soften the blow for me. Like, okay, well, I can get there a little bit easier with that. But yeah, I guess like where I come down on it is it felt unnecessary. And I actually think that the game would be like better without it. I mean, it's possible that we get to second chapter and like maybe they really like get me there with the love story and stuff, and maybe I really end up like loving these two characters as romantic partners. But by the end of this game, I don't know, it just left me feeling like, why did we even have to? I would find it way more interesting if they were just siblings that really loved each other in that way and would do anything for each other because they're siblings and they've been through so much together. I mean, how many games, for as little talked about as like incestuous stuff is, it's also not really talked about that much, the true bond that siblings can have, especially in a situation where somebody's kind of brought into the family and accepted. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. Across my twisted, weird family tree and all of my stepbrothers and stepsisters and half-sisters, I'm the oldest of 9 siblings. And some of them were situations like that where they were brought in from previous marriages and remarriages and stuff like this, where I have no blood relation to them at all, but you still do feel like a sort of brotherly sense, a protective sense, a familial sense to these people. And maybe that colors my perspective on it a little bit, but like I find that way more interesting than making them some kind of forced love interest. But It really though, I did feel icky about that for most of the game. I felt pretty bad about that, but by the end, I'm okay with it now. I've made peace with it.
I mean, like I said, I'm with you that like if you just remove the romance, you can keep everything else the same, but just make them not romantically interested in each other.
Yeah.
And then you would still have the tragedy at the end of he leaves.
Right, exactly.
Like in the middle of the night while she's sleeping, he just leaves because of like something he found out. You could still have basically everything. Obviously, some stuff would need to be rewritten a little bit, but and then yeah, she goes off to find her brother in the second game, not her love interest or whatever. So yeah, I fully agree that would probably be even. I guess I don't want to say better because I don't even know where it ends up, but definitely a less immediately like ick feeling on that. But I genuinely found Olivier and even some of Shara's stuff to be way more ick-inducing to me than the Joshua and Estelle stuff. But it is all kind of unfortunate, and it feels like a symptom of this game was originally made in 2004, or the original game rather is from 2004, where this kind of tropey stuff was more accepted, especially in RPGs. I feel like RPGs get like dogged on in a lot of ways still, and there's like a level of it that I think is xenophobia. I'm not saying if you don't like RPGs that you are racist. Don't put words in my mouth like Estelle had poison put in her mouth or a drug put in her mouth. But
yeah. I hated that so much, dude.
And that's the thing. Bad. I think that is also worse than like their romance is the way in which he goes. I mean, there is also a tragedy to it, and there's a part of me, you know, that cliffhanger ending they do is so. I'm like, what is happening? And then the fact that like after the credits, you literally get a trailer for the second game, is exciting, but also I'm like, from my perspective, I want to catch up with Joshua and beat his ass. I don't want to like be a romantic. I want to hit him with the staff a couple times for this. Like I said, whenever I recommend this game to people, and I have recommended it to people, and like you have played it at least partially on my recommendation. Colin has played it on both of our recommendations or is playing it. I always, have to give this like warning of like, just so you know, there's some incest in here.
Well, incest warning. Yeah.
Again, jokes aside, there is no actual incest. It is just a weird situation. But
yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, like it does though. This sort of thing does kind of just like put a bad taste in my mouth for otherwise good games, and like. To this game's credit, again, I think that in a game with worse writing and worse good things about it, I would have dropped it. Like, it would have been enough to bother me enough to drop it. You know, this is way better than something like in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, where all of the characters that you use in combat are like, you know... big titty anime girls who are also your weapon, you know, and eventually you marry and have babies with two of them who are also the same weapon.
And then also a third unrelated lady just because,
It's like...
Who's also a cat lady.
Who's a cat, of course, because of course she is. It's insane. Like, it is crazy. And then, like, I remember playing 13 Sentinels for the first time, and within... the first 15 minutes of playing that game, like the game opens with a naked teenager in the ruined like city street. And then you like have to watch another teenager like get undressed in like the gym locker room. And I'm like, this sucks, you know, it just feels uncomfy. And, you know, to this game's credit, it does not ever go there. It doesn't go like that far. So
okay, I will also say that, and I didn't engage with this, you can buy some DLC outfits for Estelle that are pretty risque. Probably the other female characters too, but I didn't even realize that at the time, and I didn't engage with it. But there is like a certain level of fan service that is like behind a paywall.
At least it's like if you had not told me that, I wouldn't have known that. So at least like Like at least that is, is like a little obfuscated. Now, again, I do understand like kind of that perspective or whatever. It just bothers me, this idea that like people play these games for that, like to be aroused, like the Stellar Blade kind of thing. And I don't know, man. I like there's a lot of places we could probably go with this, but it always bothers me.
Are you saying that Bit Harmony should not try and confront centuries of horny people in this Trails in the Sky first chapter episode?
If I'm gonna be playing as a character and looking at their backside the whole time, might as well be a fat shiny android ass.
On that note, I guess we'll go on the final break of the episode. I mean, in all seriousness, I do want to emphasize that like you maybe had some whiplash if you're not familiar with Trails in the Sky until this episode, how high we were on it in the first section gameplay and story wise, and then you get here and it's just us being like, isn't this game weird?
This is kind of gross.
I want to emphasize for anyone listening that if what we said in the first section intrigues you and now you're really concerned about everything going on and wondering where your Patreon money is going to, it's not like that, okay?
It's
I swear.
Not like that. Yeah, it's not like that. Just play the video game. It's good.
But I think it's a worthy discussion to be had. I think it's also been a very funny conversation in ways I was not expecting. But I just want to emphasize that, like, I do genuinely think, despite everything we've said in the last, like, 40 minutes, the writing is genuinely very good.
I
Even
agree.
for these, like, themes that they are, I don't want to say confronting, embracing maybe. Like, just even despite that stuff, the writing is very good. And I also think a very underrated aspect of this game is that like I'd have to look, I think almost every single NPC in this game is named.
Yeah.
And also from what I've seen of people say online, there are random NPCs that aren't important to the story whatsoever that they have arcs across the series too. Like there's a dude in Roland that just like you can check back in with him in second chapter and he's gonna have more stuff to say based off of what was going on in first chapter and whatever. I even saw that there was like a problem that Falcom had with getting the games localized, especially in the 2010s, is that the translators had burnout because there were so many lines of dialogue that they had to translate.
Sure. Yeah, no kidding.
Because like every character in this game has like unique things to say about stuff, and like you can check back in at various points of the game with NPCs and they'll have new things to say. I love that aspect. Lunar is another series that did that, but they don't get like remakes on this like budget level, they just get like occasional remasters or whatever. But there is like a very there's a lot of love and care put into Trails in the Sky first chapter. And I assume the original game too. I've still never played it. It's on Steam. I keep thinking like one of these days I should just get the original game and try and play that too. But I just really, really, really want to emphasize that like, despite us talking about incest for an extended period of time, this game is amazing.
It is.
It has my favorite turn-based combat that I've ever played. And I really do love all the characters besides Olivier. And again, even he's fun. It just, they have him say some bad stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I completely agree. I was completely like smitten with it. Was all I played for like 2 straight weeks. Like I couldn't put it down. I loved it. And yeah, I am like fully on board with not only the sequel coming out, but yeah, like I want to play the rest of this series. I want to check the rest of this stuff out. Like it, like I said, I had my misgivings with that stuff, but it did not at all take away the shine of an amazing game.
I blasted through this for review on so many games in like a little over a week. Oftentimes when you have to put that much time into something for review purpose real quick, it can like lower your opinion of the game. I was over the moon about this game last year, and I cannot wait for second chapter. Very, very excited for second chapter. Very excited to just check out the series at large. It's nice to, when you find something new that you love, to know that there's like 12 other games in the series that you can get around to playing. Yeah. With that said, if you don't have anything else you want to add here, let's go on our last break then, shall we?
Please. Get us out of here.
we got around the incest. What do you call that? I can't think of the word when you're in Europe, like the just the giant circle when you're driving.
Oh yeah.
And Americans don't know how to deal with it. Why can't I think of the damn word?
We would call
that?
it a roundabout here.
Roundabout. That's exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't think of the word roundabout. We're almost out of the incest roundabout, I promise. Let's break for Peace Given by Darkness and A Cat Relaxing in the Sun, which is one of the most evocative titles we've ever played on this entire show.
Dude.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about
We're
it.
going to have some things to say about a cat relaxing in the sun. And once more, that was Peace Given by the Darkness and a cat relaxing in the sun. I'll say about Peace Given by the Darkness, this is maybe my favorite song in the game now. And again, it was one I didn't even remember before we started trying to figure out what songs to play in this episode. I also love how crazy of a title that is for something that's like pretty fun. Like,
yeah.
Peace Given by the Darkness implies, like, to me at least, like, you died. Like, you get the peace of death, and then you listen to the song and it's like Legends of the Hidden Temple, like doot doots going on.
Yeah, I think this was the original title for The Sound of Silence when Simon and Garfunkel were Peace Given by the Darkness, I think was the original title. Yeah, it's funny. You know, this is like the school. There's like a bit of a school moment in the game, a little school arc that happens in the game, and there's like a level of restraint in this song. Just something about how like short and tight the horn notes are. It really feels like buttoned up. Like it feels kind of just like buttoned up school vibes, and I like the way that the rest of the instrumentation kind of falls in line with that kind of main melody, from the vocals to the keys, which are just real, like, again, short, like almost stabs. I really like that. But then, like 30 seconds in, you get that cool little minor key shift into the bridge that has that like X-Files sounding, like whistling synthesizer sound. It really kind of adds this like this sense of strangeness and drama, and then later on in the next bridge it does the key shift again, but it introduces like harp into it. So there's like, I don't know, this has like a bunch of conflicting vibes for me, but really I look at this as being like almost the theme song of Chloe, like as a character, where that obviously is like a huge, you know, point of the game where Chloe kind of is at the forefront of it, but it also kind of, I think, sells a lot of the different vibes that come with her as a character and her story. The harp introduces kind of that regal element, the sort of tight horns and instrumentation and vocals and stuff, that all kind of like, I think represents like the kind of public image of who she feels like she could be or should be to rule the kingdom eventually. But then you have, this kind of just like dramatic stuff happening in the bridges of the song. I don't know. It's like a simple sounding but deceptively complicated song to me.
Yeah, I had the same note about 30 seconds in. It's at that moment, that's like everything I like about like a mysterious sounding song in a JRPG.
Yeah.
It even reminds me a bit of the I forget the name of the song, but one of the ice levels from Kirby Return to Dreamland.
Oh, okay.
Like the way it kind of like lingers and swells. I got chills listening to this, and it was like 87 degrees when I was making notes for this song. Yeah, you kind of you nailed it. You took like all the notes I really had and then some, so I don't have anything to really add to this, but yeah, beyond just re-emphasizing, I really, really love this song. I also didn't remember that this played in the school area. I would not have pegged it for that, because it's been so long since I played the game. But yeah, that's a very cool observation.
This next one, though, A Cat Relaxing in the Sun, this was the surprise of the episode for me. Like, listening to this morning, making my notes, like I was a mess. I was weeping listening to this song. Like, and it's just, you mentioned it before we went on the break, but like the title is so evocative. And I just like, I don't even have any like specific notes about the song itself, because it's just so simple and sleepy and gentle, but like something about it just feels, the word that I come to with this is it feels unbothered. It feels, there's not an element of stress to the song at all. It feels unbothered in a way that makes me emotional, like in a way that makes me think about like, damn, remember when we were carefree, you know, kids, and we were just cats, you know, relaxing in the sun. You know, it reminds me of years ago at our old apartment. I can remember sitting on, we had this really bad cheap couch, but it was one of those couches that has that like chaise lounge or whatever, like that long kind, you can lay down on it. And I would lay on that with my acoustic guitar, just kind of messing around. And our cat Ollie, who he passed away a few years later, but he would jump up on the windowsill and kind of curl up while I was playing guitar. And those moments feel exactly like this song. And yeah, it just, it got me, dude. Like I was a damn mess listening to this song this morning. This hit me out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. For one, I originally planned on this being the outro song of the episode, but then I'm like, I feel like we should talk about this one because it's evoking too many feelings in me, and I figured it would be similar for you. Yeah, I kind of needed a debrief on it because I cried like 3 times this week listening to this song.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into super detail. People don't need the super details.
Sure.
And to be clear, the cat, my cat, me and my wife's cat, Cookie, he's fine right now. He was actually sitting at the desk with me when we started this episode. He was a cat relaxing in the sun, actually. But he was having some health issues like a week and a half ago, and it was looking real bad for a while there. Even though everything is like fine now, there's still this like level of uncertainty, and also regardless of anything else, it's a real confrontation of, yeah, this cat's like over 15 years old now, you know,
Right.
like no matter what, you don't probably have too much time left with him, regardless of anything else. So that, coupled with the title of the song,
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus. Like you said, I don't have too many notes on anything specific. It was just how it made me feel, and especially with everything going on in my personal life with our own cat right now. But I did have a weird realization when the organ comes in at like 157, because I always associated organs with obviously churches,
Yeah.
but also baseball games, you know, because you know, a lot, if you're not aware, if you're not from America or whatever, a lot of like baseball games, they play like themes on the organ. Like, I don't know exactly when. I grew up very close to the Milwaukee Brewers stadium.
Oh, yeah.
We went to the Brewers games, like I'd say like at least like 10 times a year, easy.
I've been many times to that stadium. Yeah.
Got to watch the sausage races or whatever they were called.
That's the most Milwaukee thing, the most Wisconsin thing possible, by the way. Yeah.
Watching a dude in a sausage wearing a lederhosen outfit, mascot outfit, race the other sausages.
Smell of beer and cheese in the air. Yeah.
Oh God. And especially if you drive downtown Milwaukee and the yeast in the air from Miller Brewing. Oh God. Anyway, yeah, when the organ comes in here, I always associated organs, the sound of organs, with I don't know, not exactly like distress, but definitely not anything peaceful. I guess most of that's coming from the baseball experience, where it's like a punctuation on what's happening, basically.
Sure.
It's playful almost. You know, I'm not someone that like, we weren't hanging out at churches very much. In fact, I don't know if I've ever been at a church where someone is playing an organ, even though now as an adult, that just sounds cool conceptually. I would actually like to go to a church with cool acoustics and someone is playing an organ, but I never experienced like a sermon at a church and someone is like playing an organ or whatever. So I always associated organs with like a certain level of harshness, but in this song, the organ is almost like a relief to me from like the melancholiness of the acoustic guitar. Like it feels almost like powerful and comforting in that moment.
Yeah.
And then I realized, I'm like, oh, is this why people like church and God? Like, is the organ meant to be like kind of like channeling God in that way, and that it is powerful and deep and comforting? Because if that is the intention, I've never put those two things together, but I kind of get it now, if that's the case.
That's funny. You know, it's interesting. I did not, I didn't make those connections in my head when listening to it, but I grew up very, very Christian. Very religious upbringing and stuff like this, as we've talked about that on the show before. But I do, because of that, I do find organ kind of comforting in that way. Like it does remind me of church. And, you know, I'm not a religious person anymore, but I do think that I still connect with a level of spirituality and the power that place and presence has. Like when you step into a church, there is like a certain grounding that happens. People are, you know, it's quiet, and there's a level of respect that everybody has for just the place that they're in, and they're all there for a similar reason. And I do find that comforting. Even being removed from religion for many years now, I do still find that comforting. And so the organ does kind of read that way to me. Yeah.
So those are the 3 places where you most feel God: church, college baseball games, and Japanese RPGs.
Of course. That is really, if you distill God to 3 core ingredients, those are it. Yeah. And specifically the Milwaukee Brewers stadium.
Also, I'll shout out walking home a little tipsy from Applebee's after too many sangrias. I've also felt God on that walk home, but for bad reasons. Anyway, let's get into the YouTube comment oversharing corner for this episode. This is the section of the show where we read off any funny, memorable, interesting, or downright insane comments we've stumbled across while grabbing songs for this episode. I fear that we have said way more insane things than any YouTube comment this episode.
That is probably true. Yeah. These are gonna look tame in comparison.
But between all the incest roundabouts and God-fearing Chili's or Applebee's, whatever the hell I said a minute ago. Anyway, YouTube user James Cozy 7254 commented on Factory City of Zeiss 5 months ago. I was a technician in an injection molding factory. I used to listen to this all the time at work. Very fitting. First of all, I have had a lot of office jobs. I spent most of the 2010s working at various offices. So I often was listening to either podcasts or music, depending on what was going on, whatever. I love Zeiss. I would not want to listen to Zeiss while working at as a technician in an injection molding factory. I'll just say that.
I do love when people have jobs that are that esoteric. Like, I never even consider the fact that injection molding needs a factory, but of course it does. Let alone that factory needs a technician, you know? And then like, not only does that guy exist, but like he's listening to this song, like while he's working there.
And then commenting about it on YouTube years after the fact. Yeah.
That is truly wild.
This is my favorite comment of the whole episode, to be honest. I loved this. Also made me think about, the last job I had in America before I moved here. I was working, I don't want to get super into the details, it's just super boring, but it was like a worthless job basically, but I got paid well and it was cushy, whatever. But at my desk, it was right after Spelunky 2 came out, and I was so Spelunky 2 pilled at that time that I hooked up my speaker to play the Lava Mines song, like the second world, or one of the potential second worlds, the one that's like boop 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 boop, like with the really deep
kind of a
bass.
Factory kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing though, is I was just working in an office, but I just I had a second shift, so when things would start like quieting down after like 7 p.m. from my desk, my cubicle, you could just hear the boop 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 boop. Like, I just love stuff like that. I love hearing people listening to video game music in very weird situations like that.
I think maybe I've even brought this up on the show before, but one thing that I used to listen to video game music a lot when I worked at GameStop before they installed the stupid GameStop TV and we weren't allowed to do it anymore. But One thing that I always did whenever we were gearing up for midnight launch and we were like getting stuff set up and ready, there'd be like a crowd of people outside before we opened the doors and stuff. I would always play the song Suicide Mission from Mass Effect 2.
I think you mentioned that before, yeah.
Yeah. And like I would just play that on the speakers and it just felt like it just made it feel so like epic, like we were preparing for war or something. And anyway, that's just a silly little listening to work memory. Anyway, this is a good one though. YouTube user at Ward Swag with 2 G's commented on Tetracyclic Tower 5 months ago. Sniper is spotted. I repeat, sniper is spotted. Ah, is that James Bond? I think I saw him. He's in the building. I can't see him. LMAO, this reminds me of classic 007 Nightfire theme. LOL, if you know, then you know, LOL.
So, yeah, I found this, and I don't know. I've never played 007 Nightfire. Do you know, is this actual dialogue from the game? Because, is that James Bond? I think I saw him is insane.
I don't know. I've played Nightfire on the GameCube when it came out, but I'm not familiar enough with it to know if this is dialogue from the game or not. But yeah,
I feel like it can't be because I feel like the bad guys besides like the main villain don't know that his name is James Bond, right?
I do have the idea of like NPCs being like, James Bond, I got you now.
Not James Bond!
They know like his full name. Yeah.
I take it back. This is a dumber comment than anything we said this.
Well, because even like, I'm thinking about games like Splinter Cell, where sometimes the guards will be like, we're gonna get you, Fisher, or whatever. Uh-huh. They don't say Sam Fisher. They don't,
right.
Know.
I get in the Spider-Man games, do those grunts? They're like, we're gonna get you, Spider-Man, or is it like, do they call him like something shortened? I don't remember.
Like Spidey or the Bug or something like that. Like,
we're gonna squash you, Bug.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's been said many times in the Spider-Man.
Same thing with Batman for the most part. Like they'll say like the Bat's here, or whatever, and I don't know. They're not usually like, we're gonna get you, Batman.
Yeah. I love the idea because what this really made me think of was like if you applied this dialogue format to like The Last of Us. We're gonna get you, Joel and Ellie. Like it just doesn't. It's very. It's just goofy.
Yeah.
I mean, it could just be that like it's their like he played with his friend group or something, and like they're playing multiplayer. And is that James Bond? But that's I don't know. It's very goofy either way. If that's actual game dialogue, please someone tell me. I need to know. For this next one, we've got YouTube user Leo Marlone Estrada 5954 commented on Sophisticated Fight 3 months ago, and I forgot that I added this. I'm so delighted. Once again, they just say Trails Estelle, and then they had a second comment on the same video that also just said Trails Estelle, and I took this as Dean Norris, from Breaking Bad. He played Hank.
Yeah.
When he accidentally just tweeted sex gifs. I don't know what's happening here, but that's the vibe I get. It's sex gifs Trails Estelle, basically.
I think that this is like a common like sort of meme thing where it's almost like when people call Samus Metroid.
Okay.
You hear like every now and then you'll hear somebody say like Ash Pokemon or something like that. Like for some reason their actual name would be related to like the series they're in or something. I think that's what they're going for here, but I do like the idea that he thought he was like Googling Trails Estelle.
I still don't see why you'd say it twice or comment on it twice.
Yeah,
but that probably makes more sense than my thought.
Yeah, well, who the hell knows? Leo Marlon Estrada, if you want to speak up, go ahead.
If you want to save your reputation, then this is the time.
Now's the time. YouTube user this is my favorite comment of the episode, YouTube user at Suika Game Planet commented on a cat relaxing in the sun 2 months ago. Peak in the sky, peak chapter, a peak relaxing in the peak, 1 hour peak extended.
Yeah, I like that too. I also like Suika Game Planet as your YouTube username. I think that's good.
Yeah, you snipe that.
I think it's funny to not do. I mean, I guess it would be too much if you did a peak laxing, but I feel like peak laxing is like that is like the big obvious one that you miss from attaching peak to.
I just love how like every now and then like a really like low effort like lazy thing like this just gets me like, and really it's what really sells it is the 1 hour peak extended at the end. That really is like, okay.
That's like, it's the rule of threes with humor, right? Like if this was just peak in the sky, peak chapter, a peak relaxing in the peak, it wouldn't do anything for me, but it really is the play on the format of how people label 1 hour extended videos that does come back around and make this good. Yeah,
that one got me. This last one I just added last minute, so enjoy.
Sure. I mean, I basically said that I didn't see that you edited this, and I basically said this myself. So YouTube user The Sweet Spirit commented on Peace Given by Darkness 4 months ago. They just say the dude song with an exclamation mark at the end. And yeah, it's the dude song. Yeah, that's exactly how I'm going to think of it from now on, even before I read that comment. So
it's the dude song.
I quite appreciate it. Yeah, it's the dude song. Thank you, The Sweet Spirit. That has been your YouTube comment oversharing corner for this episode. And thankfully, there's no voicemails to get into because I don't know if I have it in me after everything we've just been through. But if you want to call in and leave a voicemail for the next episode, which we'll get to in a minute, you can do that by sending an email to bitharmonypod@gmail.com, or you can dial it in at 216-230-8540. That number again is 216-230-8540. And if you're dialing that in, you want to keep those under 3 minutes because Google Voice will kick you out. You can also text that number. Also join the Discord, which Seth will get into in a second. But yeah, plenty of ways to contact us if for some reason you still want to do that after everything that's been said today.
Yes, please do join the Discord. It's free to join. We always have links in the show notes. You're more than welcome there. We'll chat with you in there. Also consider checking out the Patreon. We do exclusive episodes on Patreon, including one very soon. We'll talk about that in a second too. And of course, you get early access to this show, other exclusive perks over there, newly rebranded Patreon. So if you've been waiting to jump in, go give it a look. You can get a 7-day free trial over there as well. And one of the perks is that you can be shouted out at the end of our podcast, like I'll do right now. BitHarmony is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you. I did change the name with the rebrand of the tiers. So our Galaxy tier supporters are Adam Caparello, Bowza, Quagmire, Dan and Luma, Danielina Hosa, SAZ, John Cummins, and Ligerwoods 330. And then this used to be the Golden Banana tier. I'm very proud of this. The Gold Saucer tier supporters. It's UFO Soup, Gold Saucer, the Final Fantasy VII connection. I was pleased when I landed on that. Thank you very much to our Gold Saucer tier supporters: Big Dogs Only, Bill Tucker, Dill Pickle, Foolish Fuji, Gamer Jason, Hopple, John 32, Liam D, Old Drake, Phelan Ward, Rob Yapel, Shy Guy, thank you Shy Guy, Sean Ashton, Spriteless, and Steven Keller. We really appreciate y'all. Thanks for sticking with us through rebrands and everything else. We really appreciate y'all's support and your consistent support. That really means more than we can say. And yeah, consider checking out the Patreon. Links to that are in the show notes. It's patreon.com/UFO Soup. And we would love to have you over there. If you like the show, that is the place to be.
And SAZ, you best start believing in video game music podcasts because you are in one and you've been in one for 2.5 years.
That's right.
Hey, our next full episode of the show should be hitting August 23rd Where has the year gone? That is going to be on Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. The promise has been made. I think someone requested this like over 2 years ago, actually. Hey, just feel like the right time to do it. Like as we start winding down on summer, we hit you with another Donkey Kong one, much like we did last year with Donkey Kong Bonanza. Also, it's another David Weiss soundtrack. Like we had to do it. This is one of the ones that
also like
it was just made.
I mean, it's like one of the best games ever made. Also,
yeah, one of the best games, one of the best game soundtracks. Yeah, Hey, I'm excited. I'm excited to have another excuse to replay this game. Every like 2 years, I find some kind of excuse. But before we get to Tropical Freeze, we should have a Patreon exclusive mini episode of the show hidden between now and Tropical Freeze. I don't know the exact date yet, but that mini is going to be on Sonic R. This is another one that I have been planning on for like a year and a half, and we've just never gotten around to it. Ever since we introduced the concept of minis, I was like, you know what? We should do a Sonic R one of these, because there's nothing to really say about the video game itself.
Except for the music, which is incredible.
Right, beyond the music, which is absolutely incredible. So again, thank you all patrons for supporting us. And again, your next full episode on August 23rd is on Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and a Patreon exclusive mini should be coming soon on Sonic R. With that all said, I believe all we have left are the haikus.
That's right. Do you want to go? I don't remember who went first last time. I don't guess it matters.
Yeah, I can go first. I had to scroll down my giant haiku list real quick. So I want, again, what is happening here with my haiku is probably very apparent, especially based on things we said about a cat relaxing in the sun.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind the cat is alive. I want to emphasize that.
I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, he's in good spirits. Everything is fine. At least last time I saw him, which was like half an hour ago. This is my haiku. Funny how we can already miss what's still here, sun-kissed lil buddy. And I had to abbreviate little to lil to fit that into the syllable count. But yeah, hey, I told you, or Seth and I both told you, that a cat relaxing in the sun really messed us up, because all I could think about was mortality, and also, I mean, it plays into the themes of the game too, right? Of Trails in the Sky, where you're in this pastoral world, and again, Estelle and Joshua are very like naive, but in like a good way. Like their naivete is being used to help people and just make the world a better place for the people around them. And yeah, by the end of the game, things kind of take like a darker turn, and their childhood is kind of like gone. And knowing what I know now, like I look back on the rest of the game with even more fondness of like, I got to witness these characters like grow up and grow into their own and figure out their purpose in life, or at least kind of. Again, we didn't get super into the setup of the second game, but yeah, I know, I thought it was beautiful. And yeah, I also find it strange, the idea of I know I'm already gonna miss this dumb cat eventually, whenever the end comes. But it's weird being a human and being aware of your own mortality and the mortality of the people around you, is all I guess I'm gonna say.
Yeah, and I mean the notion that things have to end, and that God, you got me with that. You got me with that haiku, man. That got me. The notion that things have to end, and in fact, the fact that they have to end is kind of what like makes them precious, and adds that kind of just embracing of the time that you have with them. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, here's my dumb haiku. Beneath the blue skies, every trail leads to stories and people to help.
Oh, I think that's great. I also, the blue skyline is what really hits me. And I mentioned this earlier, I don't remember for what song, but like so much of the soundtrack just so evokes blues and greens to me. Like just I don't know, it just evokes, again, we keep saying pastoral, but hey, what other time do I get to use the word pastoral anyway? I might as well get my fill in here. Yeah, the game, the world, again, not the like machinations of the world, that sucks, but like the world in this game is so beautiful, and I just want to stay there, and like, yeah, just keep helping people. I think that's such a beautiful sentiment, and yeah, the greens and blues are so much a part of that.
Yeah. You're kind of always looking at this bright, like vibrant blue, skyline, and these kind of like these trails that are lined with this like verdant, green grass, and it's that is about as simple a connection to nature as you can possibly have. The fact that the sky is blue and the grass is green, right? But like that kind of is enough of a grounding thing to make you appreciate the world around you that's worth saving and fighting for.
What a cool game.
Cool
Honestly,
ass game.
I'm glad we committed to this. This is always one I wanted to do, but I was kind of scared that would be a big task. But I'm glad we figured this out. I'm glad we went for it. So again, reminder: next full episode, August 23rd, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And then if you're on the Patreon, there is a Sonic R mini coming your way soon. So join the Patreon if that sounds enticing. Your outro this episode is Seaport City of Ruan. And we'll see you next time for Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. See ya. Bye.
Bye.